Imagining an improved version of ourselves and a brighter future is like designing the plan for a new adventure. But do we fully understand the importance of this process? How many of us truly commit to making this transformative change in our lives? Now, facing a new year full of opportunities, it is time to realize this reality. Here is a complete guide to starting this journey of self-transformation. Inspired by fascinating philosophical ideas, such as those of the Stoics, this guide offers a compass for those seeking to evolve and reinvent themselves. Imagine a life where the opinions of others have no influence on you, and the tumult of society becomes just background noise. First, let's explore the art of not caring. This does not mean becoming indifferent. Rather, it is about achieving freedom and taking control of your own world, away from external distractions. In this inner universe, people do not seek happiness. They welcome it naturally, ready to enjoy the fullness of life. However, if you truly want to achieve this state of unconcern about the outside world, it is crucial to look within yourself. It's time to explore the art of self-care. Before rejecting this idea, think, is it possible to nurture true love for others if we don't first nurture love for ourselves? Discover why taking time to care for yourself and embracing self-care are essential to building a meaningful and fulfilling life. Now that you've discovered a little more about who you really are, let's get into some very important territory. Discovering what makes you special in a world that is often confusing and challenging. Finding something that really motivates you can be like a compass guiding you in the right direction. However, it's not just about finding a ready-made purpose. It's about creating your own, living each moment with such intensity that your unique essence shines through every step of the way. At the end of this journey of self-discovery, we come across an ancient philosophy, but incredibly relevant today: Stoicism. The Stoics teach that true happiness lies in the practice of virtue, the pursuit of wisdom, and the maintenance of inner calm, and not just the pursuit of material success. It's a way of living that sees challenges as opportunities for growth rather than barriers that are impossible to overcome. As we enter a new year, it is important to remember that genuine transformation is not limited to what is outside, but lies in the profound change within us. It's about discovering and cultivating the virtues that are within each of us, connecting with our truest essence, and radiating that positive energy to the world around us. If you're excited for this year to be a fresh start and a chance to reinvent yourself, the real question isn't whether you should change, but whether you're truly ready to tap into the best of yourself. Don't be afraid to embark on this journey of self-improvement and discovery. Let's continue together, growing, learning, and spreading our unique light in the world, thus contributing to a brighter and more inspiring environment for everyone around us. Have you ever found yourself bogged down by societal expectations or worried about problems that seem beyond your reach? If so, know that you are not alone on this journey. Many of us spend our days immersed in anxieties and worries about things that, in the end, may not be as crucial as they seem at first glance. But what if I told you there was a way to escape this incessant cycle of worry? A thinking approach that can reduce stress and bring more peace to your life. Today, let's explore a perspective that can guide us in the search for a more peaceful and happy existence: the art of not caring. Mastering this art does not mean completely disregarding other people or the situations around us. Rather, it is about directing our attention to that which is within our control while leaving aside that which is beyond it. On this journey of discovery, we will delve into the philosophies and ideas of great thinkers of the past, such as Buddhism, Stoicism, Søren Kierkegaard, Epicurus, Taoism, and existentialism. Furthermore, we will analyze practical examples of how these ideas have been applied by real people, showing that mastering the art of not worrying can lead us to a happier, less stressful, and more meaningful life. So what exactly does it mean to not care from a philosophical perspective? Not caring does not mean becoming completely indifferent or disinterested in everything. It means instead freeing ourselves from social expectations, fears of the unknown, worries about what we cannot control, and stress related to other people's opinions of us. It's directing our energy toward what we can influence, our actions, reactions, and emotions, rather than wasting it on issues we can do little or nothing about. This is the essence of the art of not caring. Understanding our limits and deciding where it is worth investing our attention. At the heart of it all is effort and dedication, the ability to accept the uncertainty of the future and still find joy in the present. If you've ever found yourself overwhelmed by the weight of the world on your shoulders, if you've longed to free yourself from the worries that impede your personal growth, or if you're simply curious to explore different views on the pursuit of happiness, then you're in the right place. At the end of this journey, we hope you have acquired a new perspective to face life's ups and downs with serenity, inner peace, and mental clarity. Join us on this philosophical journey in search of self-knowledge and liberation, learning the art of not caring. Now is the ideal time to embark on this journey towards a happier and more fulfilling life. Before we venture on this journey, it is crucial to establish a solid foundation by closely examining the intrinsic relationship between philosophy and happiness. But how does philosophy help us understand what happiness is? Philosophy, in its essence, is the search for knowledge and wisdom. It urges us to explore fundamental questions about ourselves, about the world around us, about what we know, about what we value, about reason, and especially for our debate today, about happiness. Throughout history, several philosophers, from the ancient Greek sages to more contemporary thinkers, have dedicated themselves to answering the question of what constitutes happiness and how to achieve it. The essence of this search has always been the same: discovering the path to true happiness. At first, discussing happiness may seem simple, right? However, as we deepen our reflection, we realize that it has multiple aspects and is an extremely personal and complex concept. What brings us happiness varies considerably according to our experiences, our culture, and the expectations that others have of us. However, when we adopt a broad perspective, viewing happiness through the lens of philosophy, we realize that its meaning expands and transforms. The question then arises, how do different thinkers and philosophical currents see happiness? Let's explore this question together, delving into the views of great philosophers and investigating the different approaches to happiness throughout history. After all, understanding these perspectives will allow us to not only expand our own understanding of the topic, but will also enable us to apply these insights in our search for true fulfillment. Let's dive deeper into the ancient Greeks' view of happiness. Aristotle, one of the most influential philosophers in history, proposed a unique definition of happiness. For him, happiness was not just a series of fleeting moments of joy, but rather a state of lasting well-being, a kind of fullness of life. In his philosophy, being happy meant living a life of virtue and wisdom, exploring our full potential and contributing positively to the world around us. Aristotle emphasized that true happiness was not in the pursuit of immediate pleasure, but rather in building a rich and meaningful inner life. On the other hand, Epicurus, another great thinker of the time, had a slightly different perspective. For him, the search for happiness was intrinsically linked to the search for pleasure and the avoidance of pain. However, his philosophy did not advocate unbridled selfishness. Instead, he valued life's small joys and simple pleasures, such as finding inner peace, cultivating meaningful relationships, and engaging in activities that stimulate thought and contemplation. During the Age of Enlightenment in the 17th and 18th centuries, philosophers such as Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill brought new perspectives on happiness. They argued that true happiness lay in making as many people as possible feel happy. This idea served as the basis for his moral and ethical theories, profoundly influencing the development of human thought. These thinkers show us that happiness can be understood in many ways, and that there is no single or universal definition for it. As we explore these different perspectives, we are encouraged to reflect on what really matters in our lives and how we can pursue happiness in a way that is authentic and meaningful to ourselves. Arthur Schopenhauer, a 19th century German philosopher, painted a less optimistic portrait of life. For him, existence was permeated with pain, and true happiness consisted in learning to avoid or reduce this suffering. He suggested that we need to moderate our desires to experience less sadness and anguish, proposing a radical change in the way we understand what it means to be happy. In the 20th century, existentialists such as Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus offered an intriguing perspective on the pursuit of happiness. They argued that life does not have an innate, fixed purpose, It is up to each individual to find their own happiness and meaning. Questioning social norms, they defended sincerity and the search for personal freedom. Furthermore, Eastern philosophies, such as Buddhism, also contribute to this debate. They teach that true happiness lies in letting go of desires and attachments, which leads to inner peace and spiritual enlightenment. These different views highlight that happiness is not a single, universal formula. Our beliefs, choices, and perspectives shape our pursuit of happiness. People follow different paths to find joy. Some seek virtue, some pleasure, some freedom, while others seek spiritual growth. As we explore the art of not caring, we will see how letting go of certain worries relates to different ideas about happiness. The goal is to find a balanced and considered way of dealing with what is truly important to us, thus aiming for a happy and satisfying life. Philosophy is like a flashlight that illuminates the path of the search for understanding, but does not offer definitive answers. It invites us to ask the right questions, challenge our beliefs, and explore new perspectives. As we delve into the idea of not caring, it's crucial to keep our minds open, question our assumptions, and allow different philosophical currents to guide us toward understanding what it truly means to be happy. Let us, then, embark on this exciting journey, absorbing the profound teachings of the great philosophers on the art of living a fulfilling life. Now let's enter the world of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that, despite emerging centuries ago, continues to offer wise and relevant advice for a meaningful existence today. Originating with Zeno of Cithio in Athens at the beginning of the 3rd century BC, Stoicism flourished with later figures such as Epicurus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, whose ideas echo into modern times. At the heart of Stoic ethics lies the appreciation of self-control, virtue, and reason. This school of thought reminds us that many events are beyond our control, but how we choose to react is entirely within our control. Instead of worrying about what we can't change, Stoicism encourages us to direct our energy towards what is within our reach. It's a powerful approach to learning not to let life's ups and downs shake us. When we delve into reflection on the two types of power according to the Stoics, we are guided by the timeless wisdom of Epicurus, a thinker whose ideas echo through the centuries. Epicurus long ago shared his remarkable reflections in his work entitled Enneadan, in which he highlights a crucial distinction. There are things we can control and others we cannot. At the core of this understanding is the realization that aspects such as our opinions, motivations, desires, and aversions, essentially everything that arises from within us, are under our control. On the other hand, elements such as our body, possession of material goods, reputation, social status, and everything else that is beyond our direct control are not under our influence. This fundamental distinction invites us to look within ourselves for power and influence, rather than seeking them externally. It teaches us that true freedom lies in mastering our own reactions and choices, not in trying to control the world around us. When we understand and accept this divide between what we can and cannot control, we find a deep source of serenity and inner strength. It's as if we open a door to a new understanding of ourselves and the world around us. This clarity directs us to focus our efforts, emotions, and attention on what we can influence and shape, while maintaining a resilient stance towards what is beyond our reach. It is important to highlight that this approach does not advocate inactivity or neglect of our responsibilities. On the contrary, it proposes a clear understanding of what truly deserves our dedication and care. Ultimately, it's a conscious choice not to allow circumstances beyond our control to shake our peace of mind. This mentality helps us maintain serenity and in tune with the natural order of the world, a fundamental principle of Stoic thought. By adopting this perspective, we not only understand, but also live in accordance with the deepest principles of existence. The Stoics' teachings about not worrying are inspiringly exemplified in the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, an influential Roman emperor. For Marco Aurelio, the true source of happiness lies within us, in our perspective and mentality. He reminds us that inner peace is achieved by changing our way of thinking, rather than endlessly seeking external success. This is a fundamental lesson of the Stoics. Focus on what is within our control and accept the rest with equanimity. Seneca, another renowned Stoic philosopher, echoes this view, emphasizing the importance of not being shaken by challenges nor overly elated by momentary triumphs. He encourages us to maintain constant calm in the face of life's ups and downs, and to find contentment in the present, fully accepting what we already have as enough. Following these principles enables us to develop a resilient attitude in the face of inevitable changes, in addition to encouraging us to constantly seek personal improvement, wisdom, and virtue. These Stoic sages teach us that true freedom and happiness lie in mastering our own reactions and choices, rather than being led by external circumstances. By internalizing these principles, we can cultivate an existence based on inner tranquility and the constant search for moral excellence. By adopting the teachings of the Stoics, we learn to cultivate a happiness that is not subject to external circumstances. Instead of worrying about the actions of others or events beyond our control, we focus on living according to our values and in harmony with the universe. Thus, we discover that the true source of contentment lies in accepting the present and cultivating a calm and serene mind, regardless of life's vicissitudes. The practice of not worrying, according to the Stoics, goes far beyond indifference. It is a complex skill that involves a clear understanding of where to direct our attention and energy. It's about recognizing what's in our control and what's not, allowing us to focus our efforts on what we can influence. This approach helps us pursue a happy and peaceful life by shaping our thoughts and feelings consciously. When we delve into Epicurean philosophy and enter the garden of Epicurus, we are invited to explore a perspective on life that transcends the mere search for ephemeral pleasures. Epicurus, with his visionary vision, teaches us that true serenity is not found in instant gratification, but rather in building an existence based on lasting and meaningful values. Here, freedom plays a crucial role, representing the ability to make choices aligned with our deepest principles. By prioritizing freedom, we allow our actions to reflect who we truly are, thus promoting a sense of inner harmony and personal integrity that resonates in all areas of our lives. On this journey, we learn that happiness is not just a fleeting state of pleasure, but rather an ongoing quest to realize our highest potential and authentic expression of our essence. By integrating the teachings of the Stoics and Epicureans into our daily lives, we develop a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us, empowering us to live with purpose and meaning, regardless of the challenges we may face. Furthermore, Epicurean philosophy highlights the importance of friendship as a key element for a happy and fulfilling life. For Epicurus, genuine and meaningful relationships are crucial to building a lasting state of well-being. Through true friendship, we find mutual support, camaraderie, and a deep sense of belonging that enriches our journey and gives us the courage to face life's challenges. Therefore, when exploring Epicurus's teachings, we discover that true happiness is not in the incessant search for fleeting and material pleasures, but rather in valuing human bonds and in the search for a life balanced with our deepest and most authentic values. Thus, while Stoic philosophy encourages us to focus on what we can control, Epicureanism encourages us to find a balance in life, giving importance to essential values and nurturing sincere relationships. Both approaches agree that learning not to worry does not mean losing interest, but rather making careful choices about where to direct our energy, which in turn results in a fuller, more meaningful life. Epicurus, an important philosopher in ancient Greece, highlighted that happiness is the main goal of human life. However, he noted that not all pleasures contribute to this lasting happiness. According to Epicurus, there are two types of pleasures: kinetic pleasures, which come from the momentary satisfaction of a desire, and static pleasures, which arise when we experience a state of contentment without pain or desire. For Epicurus, the key to a full life is in appreciating the small joys of everyday life, without giving in to the incessant search for more. This highlights the importance of finding happiness in simple things, cultivating a sense of contentment that goes beyond the constant demands of desire. By adopting this view, we are invited to value not only moments of quick pleasure, but also to cultivate a deeper sense of well-being based on gratitude, contentment, and connection with others. Epicureanism teaches us not to be influenced by what society considers normal or by material ambitions. Epicurus preferred a simple lifestyle, away from the hustle and bustle of cities. He believed that many of our desires, such as wealth, fame, or power, are motivated by the expectations of others and do not bring true happiness. On the contrary, they bring more worries, as we are never satisfied and always want more. He summed it up in a famous quote, "To make someone happy, don't increase what they have, decrease their desires." Furthermore, Epicurus addressed fear, especially the fear of death, suggesting that we should not fear it, because when death is present, we are not, and vice versa. This allows us to live freer and happier in the present. These ideas can make our lives better by helping us understand our real desires, separating what is important from what is not, and controlling our ambitions. By deciding not to worry about what others think, or the fear of death, we reduce unnecessary worries and stress, making room for true joy and inner peace. Epicureanism teaches us that happiness does not come from having many things or being recognized, but rather from finding inner tranquility without pain or conflict. It motivates us to appreciate the small joys in life, such as friendship and reflection, and not to compare ourselves or worry about other people's opinions. Following the lifestyle proposed by Epicurus allows us to rethink our values and desires, letting go of social pressures and unfounded fears, and enjoying the lasting joys of life. Let's take these lessons from Epicurus with us on our journey, appreciating the role of pleasure and desire in our lives, and letting go of worries that don't contribute to our happiness. Let's travel back to 19th century Denmark to meet Søren Kierkegaard, an important figure who left his mark on the development of existentialism. Unlike other philosophers discussed previously, Kierkegaard emerged in a unique context where his philosophy resonated with a singular focus on individuality, feelings, freedom, and personal choices. For Kierkegaard, the philosophical journey was an exploration of each individual's inner life, a deep dive into the corners of the human mind in search of meaning and authenticity. Kierkegaard's work serves as a mirror that reflects the desires, anxieties, and existential questions that permeate the human condition. He invites us to contemplate the leap of faith in the face of the uncertainties we face. Although this concept is often linked to religion, Kierkegaard extends it beyond dogmatic boundaries, presenting it as a powerful metaphor for the act of facing the unknown with courage and conviction. For him, finding purpose and transcending melancholy required this audacious leap into the unknown, a surrender to the unpredictable flow of existence. Imagine yourself on the edge of an abyss, with the future shrouded in fog, and yet deciding to take a step forward, driven by faith in the unknown, by the desire for discovery and personal growth. Therefore, Kierkegaard's leap of faith transcends the religious sphere, becoming a universal metaphor for the acceptance of uncertainty and the courage to make decisions even when the outcome is uncertain. It is a stance of commitment to one's existence, a willingness to embrace the ambiguity and complexity of life, and a manifestation of trust in the transformative power of authentic action and individual choice. When we adopt this perspective, we not only face the unknown with renewed courage, but we also embrace life's journey with a curiosity and sense of adventure that allows us to explore new horizons and reach our highest potential. When we delve into Kierkegaard's ideas, we are led to think about the importance of taking on challenges and facing life's difficulties. For Kierkegaard, having courage in the face of uncertainty is not just a good thing, but something very important that helps us better understand who we are and create our own path, even when we don't know what will happen. This courageous way of facing life, focused on our individuality, and the desire to move forward even when the future is uncertain, brings a new dimension to our understanding of not caring. She reminds us that it is very important to act truthfully and courageously when faced with life's problems. The fears and worries we have every day often come from uncertainty about the future. We get nervous when we don't know what will happen, and sometimes it's difficult to make decisions when we don't know the outcome. But what if we chose not to worry about what's to come? What if we decided to move forward, even without being sure what awaits us, making our decisions with courage and confidence? In this sense, Kierkegaard gives us valuable advice. Life can only be understood looking back, but it must be lived looking forward. This fits very well with what we discussed, because it reminds us that while we can learn from our mistakes in the past and grow from them, we cannot predict or control the future. Deciding not to worry about the future doesn't mean we don't care what will happen because of our actions. It is actually a declaration of confidence and courage in the face of uncertainty, allowing us to live in the present fully and act in accordance with our most important principles. When we let go of our fears and worries, we begin to better understand how Kierkegaard's leap of faith concept can guide us to a more fulfilling life. By letting go of constant worry about the future, we can focus on the present moment and act according to what really matters to us. This shift in focus frees us to live authentically without getting caught up in worries. Kierkegaard's idea invites us to think deeply about our own lives, concerns, and freedom. The leap of faith encourages us to face life's uncertainties with confidence, not fear. He challenges us to live in the present without trying to control the future, but rather to accept it calmly and determinedly, focusing on the opportunities that appear. By adopting this attitude, we are encouraged not to worry too much about what we cannot control, but rather to fully engage in the experience of the present moment, being true and authentic. Now let us leave aside the busy streets of 19th century Denmark and go to the ancient lands of India, where Buddha, also known as Siddhartha Gautama, laid the foundations of Buddhism, a profound philosophy and a path towards spiritual peace. Buddhism, unlike a religion with deities, offers us a unique approach to understanding happiness, dealing with pain, learning detachment, and not worrying about what is ephemeral. This Eastern perspective invites us to explore a new way of facing life's challenges, providing us with wisdom that transcends cultures and eras, remaining relevant for those seeking a fuller and more meaningful life. Imagine yourself walking among the Himalayan mountains, where the breeze whispers ancient secrets and the snow-capped peaks seem to touch the sky. It is in this scenario that Buddhism invites us to find answers to the deepest questions of existence. There are no heavenly gods, but rather the promise of understanding and inner peace. When we look at Buddhism, we come across the view that genuine happiness does not lie in the incessant pursuit of fleeting pleasures or the acquisition of material goods, but rather in understanding the nature of existence and accepting its vicissitudes. Buddha taught that the cause of human suffering lies in our incessant longing for what is transitory and in our resistance to the impermanence of life. Thus, instead of clinging to ephemeral desires and fleeting concerns, we are invited to cultivate a mindset of detachment and acceptance, finding contentment in the present moment and in the simplicity of life. In this philosophy, learning not to worry is not a mere matter of ignoring adversity, but rather of developing a deeper understanding of the true nature of things. Within this context, learning not to worry is not an act of neglect or indifference, but rather a conscious practice of letting go of what we cannot control and connecting with a deeper source of inner peace. It is a journey towards liberation from the cycle of suffering caused by the restless and dissatisfied mind, leading us to a state of serenity and equanimity in the face of life's vicissitudes. Buddhism shows us a special way of understanding happiness, different from what many people in the West think. While some associate happiness with seeking pleasure all the time or having many things, for Buddhism, true happiness comes from feeling good and satisfied inside, from peace and wisdom. The interesting thing is that this happiness does not depend on things outside of us. Anyone can achieve it by cultivating awareness, acting honestly, and understanding the truth about things. At the heart of Buddhism are the Four Noble Truths, which are important for understanding pain, where it comes from, how to overcome it, and find true happiness. According to Buddha, pain arises from the intense desire for things that we do not have or that we want more than we already have. When we always want more, we don't accept that things change all the time. This makes us always dissatisfied, always wanting something different. So learning not to get too attached to material things is an important lesson in Buddhism, because it helps us not worry so much about what we can't control. It's like an invitation to accept that life changes all the time and find satisfaction in the present moment, knowing that true happiness lies within us, in inner peace and acceptance of change. Thus, Buddhism shows us a way to get out of the cycle of dissatisfaction and suffering, leading us to a more peaceful and balanced life. Following the teachings of Buddhism offers people a way to move beyond the constant search for fleeting happiness and find a source of inner contentment that lasts longer. This approach not only helps us deal with life's challenges, but also highlights the importance of understanding basic truths about how the world works, showing us what true happiness is, one that lasts for a long time. Therefore, Buddhism not only encourages us to rethink our relationship with desire and dissatisfaction, but also teaches us to develop a mindset that goes beyond life's temporary changes, guiding us in a search for authentic and meaningful happiness. In the Buddhist view, detachment does not mean ignoring or avoiding the ups and downs of life. Instead, it involves deeply understanding that everything is constantly changing. Letting go is realizing that people, things, events, and even ideas are always changing and can disappear at any moment. We hold on to nothing, allowing things to take their natural course, knowing that trying to hold on to them is just an illusion. By practicing detachment, we can live fully, experiencing all human emotions, joy, sadness, happiness, pain, without being controlled by them. We learn to truly value life, living it fully, but without becoming attached to it. We are not suggesting that we turn our backs on or belittle things that change or dissipate when we are not attached to them. On the contrary, we are learning to relate to them in a deeper way, experiencing them fully while they are with us, but without being overly saddened when they transform or disappear. Imagine sitting on the edge of a calm river, watching the waters gently flow before you. Just like the river, life is in constant movement, and learning to flow with it is one of the most precious lessons Buddhism offers us. It's not about denying experiences or emotions, but about embracing them with acceptance and gratitude, knowing that each moment is unique and transitory. By incorporating this understanding into our lives, we find true peace and happiness that wells up from within us. This enables us to appreciate the different stages of life without being shaken by unfulfilled desires, aversions, or unfulfilled dreams. A simple but profound saying sums up this concept: you only lose what you hold on to. This phrase encapsulates the essence of Buddhist non-attachment and non-attachment, encouraging us to let go of concerns about fleeting and complex things. When we learn not to become attached to material things or idealized expectations, we make room for a deeper connection with the present and a fuller appreciation of life in its entirety. By following the path of understanding the art of not worrying, we not only reduce a lot of the suffering we create ourselves, but we also create an inner space where we can find deeper, longer-lasting happiness. Buddhist teachings, which explore the complexities of reality and the mind, play a crucial role in offering us valuable insights into how we can learn to let go of what is not truly important. By absorbing and applying the principles of letting go and not getting attached, we can move toward a more peaceful, clear, and liberating life. Let us embark on Buddha's lessons again as we continue our journey of self-discovery, remembering that everything in life is temporary and that by not clinging to things that come and go quickly, we make space to find inner peace and happiness that lasts. This simple idea makes us wonder if ultimately this is what we all want in our lives, a constant source of joy that doesn't depend on life's temporary changes. Now, returning to Europe, we arrive at Germany at the end of the 19th century, where we find Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche not only strongly criticized traditional moral rules, but also offered a forceful view on how not to worry. His philosophy, which celebrates life, challenges us to rethink what is right and wrong, encouraging us to question established norms to better understand our own existence. As we explore Nietzsche's innovative ideas, we are motivated to question, challenge, and find a unique and personal way to face life's ups and downs, adding more depth to our search for the true essence of lasting happiness. Nietzsche's philosophy revolves around the idea of appreciating life, something he considered very important for people. For him, valuing life means accepting it completely, with all its problems, doubts, and conflicts. This means embracing life with joy, wonder, and creativity, rather than just accepting it passively or resignedly. We can easily understand how Nietzsche's ideas about social norms and the art of not worrying fit into this philosophy of valuing life. Nietzsche felt that traditional moral rules and social norms often prevented people from living fully and being authentic. He did not agree with the idea of a morality that applies to everyone, which considers right and wrong to be the same for everyone. Nietzsche, with his provocative ideas and unusual philosophy, challenged normal ideas about morality and behavior. For him, not caring about society's rules did not mean being disinterested or indifferent. It was about seeking authenticity, going beyond imposed expectations, and discovering our true values. By freeing ourselves from the limitations of conventional thinking, we can begin to question and criticize the ideas that are already established, creating space to form our own principles and decide what is important and satisfying to us. In this context, the concept of the Übermensch or Superman emerges. Nietzsche describes the Übermensch as someone who embodies inner freedom and moral autonomy, someone who does not blindly submit to social norms but embraces life in its entirety, with all its complexities and contradictions. The Übermensch represents the courage to defy convention, to create your own values, and to find meaning in an authentically lived existence. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche provocatively says, "I teach you the Superman. Man is something that must be overcome. What have you done to overcome him?" These strong words motivate us to act. They challenge us to think about our own lives, to question the rules we are given, and to seek our own inner truth. As we explore how not to worry, Nietzsche's philosophy encourages us to challenge society's rules, accept who we are, and embrace life in all its parts, even those that are confusing and uncertain. Let's delve deeper into Nietzsche's provocative ideas as we continue our journey of philosophical discovery. We are committed to overcoming limitations, finding the courage to follow our own paths, and understanding that life is full of complicated things that are not always easy to understand. After absorbing valuable lessons about how not to worry, exploring various philosophical currents from Stoicism to Buddhism, from Nietzsche to Sartre and Camus, it's time to bring these lessons into our daily lives. How can we apply these ideas to our practical lives? What can we really do to live by these principles every day? It's time to transform our philosophical knowledge into actions that can improve our lives and help us deal with life's challenges with more clarity and confidence. Let's reflect on what is really important to us. Inspired by the Stoic vision of two types of control, let's carefully examine what we can control and what is beyond our reach. Our main focus is to direct our energy towards what we can change, such as our thoughts, feelings, and actions, while learning to calmly accept the things we cannot control. Practicing detachment in this way helps us reduce the stress and anxiety we often feel. This awareness of letting go helps us find more joy, freedom, and contentment in our lives, building a solid foundation for a fuller, more meaningful life. Another very important point is learning to deal with uncertainty. According to Kierkegaard, life is full of uncertain things, and trying to control or predict everything is not only difficult, but can also leave us dissatisfied. We face the fear and anxiety of the unknown by accepting that we won't always have all the answers, and by taking what he calls a leap of faith. For us, understanding that doubt can be an opportunity for growth and change is essential. In the third phase of life, when we stop to think about the paths we have already traveled and those we are yet to travel, it is very important to reflect on the expectations of the society that surrounds us. Inspired by the lessons of Epicurus and existentialism, we realize how society's rules and pressures can often be a burden on our true happiness and authenticity. At this moment, it is crucial to honestly analyze the pressures we feel. Do they align with our personal values and goals, or do they force us to act in ways that aren't really us? Letting go of these social expectations does not mean ignoring our responsibilities or the world around us. On the contrary, it is about regaining the freedom to decide our own destiny, choose what is truly important to us, and build our identity based on our deepest principles. The fourth piece of advice invites us to face the complexity and unpredictability of life with a little humor and acceptance. Following Kierkegaard's philosophy, we learn to find grace in life's ironies and face situations with lightness. Instead of constantly seeking external approval or finding meaning in social norms, we are encouraged to discover our own inner purpose and meaning. This can show in our hobbies, how we help others, our personal relationships, or how we continue to learn about ourselves. Enjoying happy moments and facing challenges with courage and strength are important parts of a life lived fully. Following these tips may seem like a daunting task amid life's turmoil, but they are reliable compasses on our journey. It's critical to remember to be patient, courageous, and kind to yourself as we navigate the turbulent waters of destiny. At times we may feel lost, afraid, or misunderstood, and it's okay to feel these emotions. After all, they are part of the human experience. We must not fight against them, but rather recognize them, understand them, and move forward with the determination of those who move forward despite adversity. You may be asking yourself, how can I incorporate these ideas into my everyday life? Practicing full attention, also known as mindfulness, can be a powerful tool. Being mindful means being fully present, aware of the present moment without hasty judgments. This practice allows us to observe our feelings, thoughts, and emotions clearly without becoming attached to them. Set aside a few minutes each day to sit in silence, giving your mind a moment to rest. During this time, focus on your breathing, feeling the flow of air through your body. If your mind starts to wander, gently bring your attention back to your breath. Over time, this practice allows you to appreciate the present more and develop a greater ability to let go of everyday concerns. These skills are like precious tools that help us not only stay grounded in the present moment, but also cultivate a healthy perspective on worries. Learning how not to worry does not mean disconnecting from the world, but rather developing the ability to discern what really deserves our attention. It involves recognizing the complexity and uncertainties inherent in life, and even so, finding our own inner balance, guided by our values and principles. As we move forward, it is essential to internalize the idea that not worrying is not synonymous with resigned apathy in the face of challenges. On the contrary, it is an invitation to authenticity and courage to follow our own paths, regardless of external expectations. As we venture on this journey, it is essential that we cultivate the bravery to face challenges, practice self-compassion, and accept the vicissitudes of life with serenity, recognizing its ever-changing and fluid nature. Now that we have absorbed these valuable lessons about how to approach life with fewer worries, it is time to pause and reflect on what we have learned, preparing ourselves for the next steps on this journey. As we travel through the ages, from the Stoic sages of ancient Rome to the existentialist philosophers of the 20th century, we capture their views on the art of not worrying. From Stoicism, we learn to separate what we can control from what we cannot, finding peace by focusing on what is within our reach. With Epicurus, we understand the true nature of happiness and the importance of not being too influenced by the opinions of others. And through Kierkegaard, we accept the uncertainty that is part of life and realize the liberation that comes from letting go of certain worries. During our journey of philosophical exploration, we delved into a wealth of teachings that challenged us to rethink our relationship with the world and ourselves. Through Buddhism, we understand the art of detachment and separation, discovering how to free ourselves from the weight of unnecessary worries and achieve a state of inner peace. Nietzsche, in turn, stirred our ideas by encouraging us to question social norms and follow our own path in search of authenticity and personal growth. Meanwhile, Sartre and Camus reinforced the importance of taking control of our lives, highlighting that we are the builders of our destiny, and that true freedom lies in accepting this responsibility. Now, entering the last part of our journey, it's time to put these lessons into practice in our daily lives. We think about the importance of discovering what really matters to us and how to deal with the challenges and uncertainties that life presents to us. We also recognize that it can be difficult to follow this path of self-discovery and growth. But, armed with tools such as mindfulness and awareness, we are prepared to face these challenges with calm and determination. This simple method helps us keep an open mind, perceiving the present moment in all its complexity, allowing us to live more consciously, genuinely, and without unnecessary worries. It's important to understand that learning not to worry is just the beginning of ongoing change. It's not something you achieve and that's it. It's more like a lifestyle. To achieve this, you need to be kind to yourself, have patience and courage. It's a never-ending journey, always in search of a more authentic and meaningful life. Use these ideas in your life as you continue to learn more. Discover what is most important to you and let go of what is not good for you. Important things in life include the lessons we learn, the new ideas we have, and the people we meet. So move on and learn not to worry about some things. You will realize how it changes you, gives you more freedom, and makes you happier. Understand that learning not to worry doesn't mean you don't care about anything. It's about accepting who you are, being free to be yourself, and following your own path. It's discovering who you really are in the midst of other people's expectations, uncertainties, and life's peculiarities. Have you ever felt bad about taking time to rest, enjoy your favorite food, or simply take care of yourself? Sometimes we blame ourselves or label ourselves as selfish when we put our own needs first. But is there a difference between loving yourself and being selfish? In this video, we'll investigate this sensitive question, exploring the ideas of famous philosophers and psychologists who have questioned social norms and helped us understand how these concepts affect our lives. Thinkers like Nietzsche, Carl Rogers, Abraham Maslow, Aristotle, Ayn Rand, Jean-Paul Sartre, Buddha, and Erik Erikson gave us ideas that remain relevant over time, shaping our views and transforming our mindsets. Now it's time to absorb the wisdom of these great thinkers and apply it to our own journeys. Self-love and selfishness are complex subjects that have different and even opposing interpretations in our society. While we are encouraged to be kind and help others, it is also important to take care of ourselves. With contradictory messages like these, we sometimes feel lost, not knowing exactly what to do. What we are talking about today goes beyond personal life and also applies to the work environment. Seeking a happier and more peaceful life means understanding self-love and a specific type of selfishness. This includes accepting who we are, recognizing both our strengths and weaknesses, setting clear limits, and taking time to look after our own well-being. And we shouldn't worry if someone calls us selfish for putting our mental and emotional health first. I've been through situations like this myself. There was a time when I dedicated myself to helping others, even if it meant sacrificing my own rest, fun, and sometimes even my health. It wasn't until I studied philosophy and psychology that I realized how important self-love and a healthy balance of selfishness are. These lessons not only changed my personal life, but they also had a huge impact on my career, greatly helping my success and well-being at work. Therefore, I truly believe that this series can be very useful for you, both in your personal and professional life. I'm sure that the ideas and practices we share here can greatly improve your life and work. Let's embark on this journey of discovery together, exploring new horizons and seeing the world from a renewed perspective. In this quest for self-knowledge, we will delve into the depths of our being to better understand who we are and what our role is in this vast universe. Loving yourself goes beyond moments of fleeting pleasure, like a relaxing spa treatment or a fine dinner at a fancy restaurant, although these experiences also have their value. In fact, true self-love is something much deeper and more essential. Loving yourself is accepting yourself fully, embracing all our imperfections. It's recognizing our intrinsic worth and treating ourselves with the same kindness and respect we give others. It's not about seeking perfection, but about finding inner peace. Loving yourself means understanding that we make mistakes and accepting them with serenity, learning from each failure instead of blaming ourselves. It is also about dedicating ourselves to our own journey with compassion, understanding, and patience, nurturing ourselves with the same care we give to others. This genuine self-love does not translate into arrogance or considering oneself superior to others. Rather, it is a celebration of our humanity with all its virtues and flaws. Loving yourself is recognizing and valuing our unique essence, accepting ourselves fully with all our potential and limitations. Taking care of yourself is like watering a delicate plant that is ourselves. It is a gesture of affection and responsibility towards our physical, emotional, and social well-being. It involves setting healthy boundaries, setting aside sacred time for our interests, and prioritizing our most essential needs. This act of care is the foundation upon which we build our health and happiness. By taking care of ourselves, we are keeping our body strong, our mind clear, and our spirit at peace. It's like nurturing the roots of our existence, ensuring that we can flourish and prosper in all areas of life. And the most important thing is to understand that this self-care is not an expression of selfishness, but rather of genuine love for ourselves and others. The term selfishness often carries a negative connotation, associated with the idea of prioritizing our own needs exclusively without considering those of others. However, there is more than one layer to this complex issue, as in so many other aspects of life. True self-care is not a selfish practice, but rather a balancing act between love for ourselves and consideration for others. When we are well and healthy, we are able to offer more to the world around us. When we think about what it means to be selfish in this conversation, it's important to point out that we're not talking about bad, callous selfishness. On the contrary, we are talking about a healthy and balanced type of selfishness, where we make choices that are good for ourselves, even if it means not doing what others expect of us. This kind of good selfishness allows us to set healthy boundaries, know how to say no when we need to, pursue our own goals and put our needs first without feeling guilty. It's understanding that our wants and needs are just as important as those of others. For many people, the relationship between self-love and selfishness may seem complicated and contradictory at first glance. But if we look closer, we see that these two concepts are linked. Loving yourself requires a bit of healthy selfishness, as it means putting our well-being and personal growth first. This may involve making decisions that benefit us, even if it doesn't please everyone. Being selfish in a good way starts with recognizing our own worth and being confident in who we are. Self-love and selfishness are like two sides of the same coin, essential for our personal development and well-being. They complement each other, forming a solid foundation for us to deal with the ups and downs of life with serenity and confidence. To better understand these concepts, let's delve into their origin and the way they have been shaped throughout history by philosophy and psychology. It will be fascinating to explore how different thinkers have interpreted these ideas over time, revealing the nuances and complexities behind them. By watching this video, our goal is to investigate these intricate questions, highlighting the diverse perspectives of great thinkers and the valuable lessons they have to share. It is crucial to emphasize that we are not promoting selfishness in a harmful way, where people close themselves off from the world and become indifferent to the well-being of others. On the contrary, we seek to help you build a healthy and balanced identity in which you can recognize your own worth, take care of yourself, and at the same time, show empathy and respect for the people around you. To deepen our understanding of the importance of self-love and healthy selfishness, we need to further explore these intricate concepts, which play a crucial role in our journey of self-discovery, mental health, and overall well-being. In addition to the philosophical theories that permeate these themes, it is important to consider the practical and scientific aspects that explain how these ideas shape our mental and emotional experiences. Psychologists and experts who have dedicated their lives to these areas for decades have observed a direct connection between our self-image and our mental health, highlighting the importance of cultivating a healthy relationship with ourselves. We can imagine our minds as fertile gardens where we cultivate a variety of emotions and thoughts. Visualize a garden filled with love, happiness, and self-compassion, where these emotional flowers bloom vigorously, coloring the landscape of our inner lives. Just as a garden flourishes when watered with care and attention, our brains also thrive when we nurture self-love and compassion for ourselves. However, when we allow negative thoughts, self-criticism, and doubts to take root, they are like thorns that pierce the soil of our mind, wreaking havoc with anxiety, sadness, and other mental health challenges. Self-love is like a natural armor that protects us from the struggles of life and the difficulties of the mind, wrapping us in a cloak of self-understanding and acceptance. By cultivating a deep respect and appreciation for ourselves, we create a kind of emotional shield that allows us to navigate the turbulent waters of existence with more security and serenity. This protection gives us the freedom to express our emotions authentically, recognizing their importance and validity. The emotional awareness resulting from this self-love is essential to avoid repressing feelings, a behavior that is often symptomatic of underestimated mental suffering. Furthermore, self-love gives us the courage we need to face life's challenges head-on, without backing down in the face of adversity. Instead of feeling helpless in stressful or difficult situations, we believe in our ability to overcome. This intrinsic confidence in ourselves drives us to face obstacles with determination and perseverance. The ability to deal with problems courageously is essential to keeping mental health in balance, allowing us to navigate life's vicissitudes with resilience and assertiveness. By understanding and applying this capacity for recovery, we strengthen our mental health, enabling us to face the ups and downs of the human journey with greater emotional stability and well-being. Let's investigate more about how healthy selfishness relates to all of this. If self-love is like the soil where we cultivate our mental garden, then healthy selfishness is like tending that garden, providing the nutrients necessary for its growth. Healthy selfishness doesn't just mean thinking about ourselves first, but also understanding our own desires and goals and acting in accordance with them. This involves taking time for ourselves, even when we are busy, and taking good care of our physical, mental, and emotional health. It's not just about pampering ourselves, but about taking care of ourselves in a conscious and deliberate way. When we dedicate time and energy to meeting our needs, we are allowing ourselves to grow and become better. This helps us discover our interests, develop our skills, and pursue our dreams, which in turn contributes to our personal growth and self-knowledge. Additionally, understanding and practicing healthy selfishness helps us set appropriate boundaries and say no when necessary. We often feel overwhelmed trying to please everyone or taking on too much responsibility. However, learning to refuse excessive demands or commitments that do not benefit us is important to protect our mental and emotional health. It is part of maturity to recognize and respect our own limits, and this is what we call healthy selfishness. Self-love and healthy selfishness are like partners that help us live a happy and balanced life. They are important to keep our minds balanced, help us grow as people, and give us strength to face life's challenges. When we love ourselves, we are taking care of our mental garden, where positive ideas, self-esteem, and strength grow. Healthy selfishness is like the gardener in this garden, making sure it has everything it needs to grow. It is essential to understand that these ideas together help us live a life where we are strong and do not let the opinions of others affect us. Instead, we trust ourselves and respect ourselves. When we find this balance, we can satisfy our own desires while also considering the desires of others, which helps create healthy relationships and a fair society. As we continue on this journey of self-discovery and personal growth, it is crucial that we explore Carl Rogers' teachings further. Not just his ideas, but also the philosophy behind them. Rogers, with his person-centered approach, offered a revolutionary perspective that challenged the conventional notions of psychology of his time. His belief in the intrinsic goodness and growth potential of each individual illuminated a new and inspiring path to understanding self-love and human development. As we explore Rogers' writings, we come across the importance of unconditional and positive acceptance. He teaches us that to achieve our best, we must accept ourselves completely, with all our flaws and imperfections. Unconditional positive regard does not require perfection. She encourages us to accept our humanity with kindness and sincerity. According to Rogers, self-love goes beyond a simple idea. It is a powerful force that influences our identity and emotional well-being. It is essential for us to build healthy relationships, make decisions aligned with our values, and face challenges with courage. By assimilating Rogers' teachings, we understand the importance of treating ourselves with kindness, understanding, and acceptance, which prepares us to grow and be happy. Rogers emphasizes that self-love should not depend on results, the approval of others, or following social rules. He defends self-love independent of these external factors, based on the recognition of our unique value. Self-love, for Rogers, does not mean being selfish or superior. It is recognizing our own worth and trusting our feelings and thoughts. For Rogers, self-love is essential for our personal growth and fulfillment. It goes beyond simply liking ourselves. It is fundamental for our full development. Cultivating self-love allows us a journey of self-discovery, where we can experiment, make mistakes and learn from them, thus promoting our personal growth. In Rogers' view, self-love is not just accepting who we are, but also motivating ourselves to grow. He encourages us to free ourselves from self-imposed limitations and embrace our capacity for change. By recognizing that we are always evolving, we open doors to new opportunities for personal growth. Imagine self-love as the sun that nurtures the seed of our inner potential. By watering this seed with compassion, we allow it to blossom into something incredible. Rogers reminds us that by opening ourselves to self-discovery, we are gifting ourselves with the chance to become truer, more fulfilled versions of ourselves. Furthermore, Rogers invites us to trust ourselves, believing that we can make decisions that are in line with our values. This means trusting our intuition and inner wisdom, but also being open to learning and growing. Self-love gives us the ability to be the authors of our own stories, allowing us to shape our destiny with confidence. According to Rogers, loving yourself is not just accepting who we are now, but also embracing who we can become. It's accepting not only who we are today, but also being eager to see who we will be in the future. This type of self-love gives us a solid foundation to grow and become the best version of ourselves. Furthermore, in Rogers' therapy, he believed that the therapist should create an environment of sincerity and unconditional respect. He thought it would help people develop self-love and reach their full potential. This shows that Rogers saw self-love as a powerful healing tool. Rogers' ideas about self-love not only change therapy, but also relate to what we are discussing. They offer us a new perspective and encourage us to love ourselves regardless of circumstances, showing how this can help us grow and achieve our personal goals. Before continuing, I left a link in the first comment to help you with chronic anxiety. Many people are talking about how anxiety is increasing as technology advances. The Stoics knew well how this could disrupt their lives and also how to deal with it. Therefore, I suggest you watch the video in the first comment to help you deal with your anxiety. Click there and watch the video right now. Now, let's explore the work of Abraham Maslow, one of the first psychologists to use humanistic approaches. Just like Carl Rogers, Maslow's ideas about the order of needs and self-actualization offer us an interesting way of thinking about what we are discussing. Abraham Maslow, a famous American psychologist, was born in 1908 and made important contributions to the field of psychology with his humanistic approach. This approach, also called the third force of psychology, highlights the natural goodness of people and the importance of healthy psychological growth. Maslow is known for his hierarchy of needs theory, which is still used in many fields today, such as business, marketing, psychology, and education. He placed self-realization at the top of this hierarchy, considering it the most essential thing. Abraham Maslow spent a lot of time studying what motivates people to move forward and reach their full potential. He believed that self-actualization is an ongoing, lifelong process, and this relates to what we discussed earlier about self-love and healthy selfishness. Maslow saw this as part of personal growth and ongoing development. He developed the idea of the ladder of needs, a pyramid that shows what people need to be happy and healthy. At the bottom are basic things like food and water, and at the top are self-actualization needs. Maslow said that to reach the top of the pyramid, people must first have their basic needs met. This means taking care of safety, love, connection, and respect before focusing on becoming the best version of themselves. The ideas of self-love and selfishness gain a new perspective. According to Maslow, loving yourself is fundamental to satisfying all these needs. The more we love ourselves, the more we take care of all our needs, from the most basic to the most complex. Taking care of yourself, in a positive way, becomes very important on this journey of personal improvement. Understanding Maslow's theory shows us that by loving ourselves and practicing healthy selfishness, we are preparing ourselves to become the best version of ourselves and achieve our goals. Abraham Maslow, a renowned 20th century psychologist, brought to light the vital importance of self-esteem in our lives. In his hierarchy of needs theory, Maslow emphasized that in order to grow as an individual, it is essential to cultivate deep self-love and, at the same time, nurture respect for others. He argued that self-love serves as a foundation for developing self-esteem and respect for oneself. For Maslow, Constantly seeking to be the best version of yourself is a positive form of self-care. He asserted that as we strive to grow, find happiness, and achieve our goals, we are actually compromising ourselves with our very essence. Although some people may interpret this pursuit as selfishness, Maslow saw it as an essential tool for personal growth and fulfillment. Maslow's theory highlights that self-development and the pursuit of happiness are not harmful acts of selfishness, but rather legitimate expressions of self-love and self-fulfillment. Taking care of yourself and pursuing your dreams are essential steps to achieving personal fulfillment. However, Maslow also stressed the importance of transcending the self and recognizing our interconnectedness with all humanity. He argued that by helping others and contributing to collective well-being, we also nurture our own fulfillment and meaning in life. Thus, Maslow's theory reminds us that true balance lies in finding harmony between caring for ourselves and serving others, recognizing that these two dimensions are intrinsically intertwined in our journey of growth and self-knowledge. Abraham Maslow's contributions to psychology provide us with invaluable insight into self-love and healthy selfishness. Maslow introduced the hierarchy of needs, a theory that describes different human needs in a hierarchy of priorities. At the top of this hierarchy are self-actualization needs, which involve reaching our full potential and developing our creativity, self-acceptance, and personal fulfillment. Maslow argues that to achieve this state of self-actualization, it is essential to satisfy the most basic needs, such as physiological and safety needs. Therefore, self-love plays a crucial role in this process, as it enables us to meet our own needs and pursue our personal development in a healthy way. Now, going back to ancient times, we find Aristotle, whose contributions to philosophy profoundly shaped Western thought. Aristotle believed that virtue and the pursuit of happiness were intrinsically linked to self-development and self-realization. He defended the idea of eudaimonia, which is the search for personal fulfillment and excellence through the practice of moral virtues. For Aristotle, taking care of oneself was not just a selfish indulgence, but rather an essential aspect of ethical and virtuous living. He saw self-reliance and self-fulfillment as fundamental components of genuine and lasting happiness. Therefore, learning from Aristotle teaches us that taking care of ourselves is not just a matter of selfishness, but rather an integral part of an ethical and meaningful life. These two great thinkers, each in their own time, highlight the vital importance of taking care of ourselves and seeking our personal development as a path to fulfillment and happiness. By integrating Maslow's ideas about the hierarchy of needs with Aristotle's teachings about virtue and eudaimonia, we can see how self-love and self-development are essential components of a full and meaningful life. Aristotle, a remarkable figure of antiquity, was born more than 2,000 years ago in 384 BC. He had the privilege of studying under Plato and later became a mentor to Alexander the Great. He founded a renowned school in Athens known as the Lyceum, where he shared his ideas for more than a decade. His influence on Western philosophy was immeasurable, establishing concepts and standards that echo through the centuries, shaping the future thinking of generations. One of Aristotle's most striking contributions was the concept of eudaimonia, which can be translated as happiness or flourishing. For him, eudaimonia was not just momentary happiness, but rather a state of lasting well-being achieved through the continuous pursuit of virtue and excellence. As we explore Aristotle's ideas further, we realize how his conception of eudaimonia is closely related to self-love and reasonable self-interest. For him, loving yourself is not a selfish act, but rather essential to achieving eudaimonia. Aristotle argued that self-love is not only acceptable but necessary, as it represents the constant search for what is good for oneself, aligned with the pursuit of virtue and excellence. Aristotle's perspective on reasonable self-interest sheds new light on his conception of self-love. He suggests that by human nature itself, we seek to employ reason to reach our full potential. Thus, loving yourself, according to Aristotle, implies seeking to be the best version of ourselves, aspiring to virtue and wisdom. This type of self-interest is like beneficial selfishness, where we seek our personal development and happiness without harming others. but rather contributing to the well-being of the community around us. Therefore, self-love, in Aristotle's view, is not just an individualistic pursuit, but a process that can enrich and benefit society as a whole. To better illustrate this concept, we can consider the example of an artist. According to Aristotle, loving yourself would imply dedicating all your effort to improving your art, discovering and expressing your unique style, and reaching your maximum creative potential. In doing so, the artist not only recognizes their own talents and interests, but also contributes something unique and valuable to the world. In this context, self-love is not just a selfish search for recognition or personal success, but rather a commitment to developing one's skills and talents for the benefit of oneself and the community in which one operates. Think about this dilemma. You have to choose between two jobs. One pays very well, but it's stressful and doesn't make you happy. The other pays less, but brings you satisfaction and joy. Following Aristotle's thinking, loving yourself means choosing the path that makes you genuinely happy and helps you reach your full potential, even if it brings challenges or a lower salary now. This exemplifies the concept of eudaimonia, which is seeking happiness by living a virtuous and morally correct life according to Aristotle. Here, self-love and a little selfishness are not only acceptable, but important. They motivate you to grow personally, seeking what really matters, and making choices that are in line with your values and dreams. By choosing work that makes you happy, you not only take care of yourself, but you also inspire others to follow their own paths of happiness and fulfillment. Aristotle's ideas show us how self-love and a little selfishness can work together to do us good. They encourage us to think not only about our own needs, but also about how we can act ethically in pursuit of true happiness. By valuing our abilities and choices, we are following the example of Aristotelian thought, which teaches us to know ourselves deeply and act in accordance with our most important values. From there, our journey takes us to meet Ayn Rand, an interesting figure. Born in Russia in 1905, Rand moved to the United States in the 1920s, where she became a famous writer and philosopher. His system of thought, called objectivism, is explored in his literary works, such as The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, which became important manifestos for an individualist and pro-capitalist approach. Rand's objectivist philosophy highlights self-focus as essential, emphasizing that paying attention to our own needs and goals is crucial to finding happiness. For her, seeking our own happiness is morally right, and selfishness is seen as a virtuous quality when it is practiced rationally and ethically. Thus, by combining Aristotle's ideas with Rand's objectivism, we are encouraged to explore further how the balance between self-love and healthy selfishness can contribute to a fulfilling life. Rand's philosophy promotes a type of ethical selfishness called the virtue of selfishness, which offers us a unique perspective on self-love and healthy selfishness. Objectivism argues that achieving happiness is the most important thing in life. Rand advocated a type of logical selfishness where each person's life and happiness are its most significant goals. According to objectivism, everyone has a moral responsibility to take care of themselves, not harm others, and protect their own rights. In the book, The Virtue of Selfishness, Rand explains that her idea of selfishness does not mean ignoring other people, but rather not giving up something for their sake. It is important to understand that Ayn Rand's concept of reasonable selfishness does not involve harming or exploiting other people. Instead, it's about being authentic with yourself, pursuing your own goals, and living in a way that promotes your own happiness. Rand argued that it is essential to use reason when making choices that serve your interests, resisting the temptation to seek immediate gratifications or short-term advantages that could compromise your long-term happiness. Let's explore further the meaning of Ayn Rand's reasonable selfishness by taking a closer look at how she interprets this approach. The term rational is crucial here. Rand highlights that for her, being selfish is not just about satisfying momentary impulses. Rather, it means making decisions that bring long-term benefits. According to Rand, a genuinely selfish person avoids harming others, lying or stealing, as such actions would be irrational. This is because such practices undermine trust, harm relationships, and make life more challenging in the future. Rand emphasizes the importance of cultivating solid self-esteem and respecting oneself as fundamental elements for practicing what she calls selfishness. Importantly, the way Aristotle views love for oneself resembles what Ayn Rand describes as selfishness. The type of selfishness that Rand supports is directly linked to self-love, adherence to one's principles, and the pursuit of personal improvement and happiness. For Rand, this kind of selfishness is not only good, but also essential to building a just society. In his view, each person should take care of themselves while respecting the right of others to do the same. According to Rand, this would lead to a community where people help and value each other, practicing selfishness in a logical way. She argues that this would result in a society where everyone would have freedom, happiness, and respect for the rights of others. These ideas make us imagine a world where people live in harmony, finding a balance between self-love and healthy selfishness. As we explore the idea of loving yourself and the concept of sensible selfishness proposed by Ayn Rand, we are challenged to rethink our ideas about selfishness. Rand's perspective leads us to think that pursuing our own values and interests is not necessarily a bad thing, but rather an important part of our emotional health and well-being. Although his philosophy may seem extreme to some, especially regarding selfishness, it is crucial to understand and accept who we are. This not only makes us happier individually, but also contributes to creating a society where everyone has the chance to grow and develop. Furthermore, by living by our own principles, we are helping to create a more honest society where authenticity and transparency are valued. These values are fundamental to promoting openness and, ultimately, peace. Now our intellectual journey leads us to Stoicism, a philosophy that offers us calm amidst life's turmoil. Here we meet Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most famous Stoic philosophers. Despite its humble origins, its lessons echo through the ages, offering eternal wisdom to this day. The philosophy of Stoicism teaches that being good, wise, and fair is the best way to find happiness. While we can't change what happens around us, we can choose how to deal with it. According to Stoicism, it is crucial to remain calm, accept what happens to us and the situations we find ourselves in, while striving to improve using reason, self-discipline, and virtue. Epictetus, a famous Stoic philosopher, is known for his ideas about inner freedom and control over oneself. In works such as Discourses and Enchiridion, he deeply explores these concepts. Epictetus highlights the importance of distinguishing between what we can control, such as our thoughts, feelings, and actions, and what we cannot, such as external events, other people's actions, or their opinions. This understanding is fundamental to his philosophy and to Stoicism in general. For Epictetus, control over oneself goes beyond resisting temptations and acting impulsively. It involves the ability to manage our feelings and reactions to things that happen to us. He teaches us that our happiness is not determined by what happens, but rather by how we choose to respond. This way of seeing things connects deeply with self-love, emphasizing the importance of taking care of our mental and emotional health, maintaining inner tranquility. At the heart of Stoicism lies a broad concept of self-care that transcends mere physical and superficial attention. For Stoics, taking care of oneself is a holistic practice that encompasses all aspects of our existence, mind, body, and soul. In contrast to the simplistic view that self-care is limited to spa treatments or moments of relaxation, this ancestral philosophy advocates the search for balance through practices such as meditation, self-reflection, and care for physical and mental health. When we explore the Stoic perspective on self-care, we come across an understanding that goes beyond superficial care and enters the realms of personal development. Here, self-love is not limited to meeting the basic needs of the body, but also encompasses the cultivation of wisdom, patience, and compassion. Thus, self-care in Stoicism represents an integral commitment to well-being, where taking care of the mind and moral character is as crucial as taking care of the physical body. For followers of Stoicism, self-care is not just a task, but a journey of self-discovery and constant improvement. It's like an inner journey towards balance and peace of mind. Imagine yourself on a boat sailing in rough seas, where the waves represent life's challenges. Stoicism offers a sure rudder to navigate these turbulent waters, helping you maintain calm and direction even in the face of the most intense emotional storms. In the practice of Stoicism, we learn to manage our thoughts, deal with adversity, and remain firm in ethical principles, even when the world around us seems chaotic. It's like cultivating an internal garden, where each virtue is a flower that contributes to the beauty and harmony of the whole. In this garden, self-love is the fertile soil that nourishes each plant, allowing them to grow strong and lush. By embracing self-love according to Stoic precepts, we not only seek balance within ourselves, but we also aspire to contribute positively to society. This is a key piece of Stoic philosophy. The development of virtues is not an end in itself, but rather a means of positively influencing the world around us. Therefore, Stoicism is not just an individual exercise in self-care, but also a commitment to the common good, a light that illuminates not only our path, but also that of those who cross our journey. The lessons of Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, have echoed down the centuries, offering a practical guide for cultivating self-love and reasonable self-interest. He reminds us of the importance of preserving our inner peace, maintaining clarity of thought, and valuing the moral virtues that make us truly human. For Epictetus, liking yourself is not a luxury, but an essential necessity for a full and meaningful life. Furthermore, Stoicism invites us to know ourselves, to respect who we are, and to take responsibility for our mental health. This involves recognizing our limitations, accepting our imperfections, and constantly working to become the best version of ourselves. Following Epictetus's teachings and incorporating them into our daily lives can have a transformative impact, not only on our own journey, but also on the lives of those around us. Imagine facing a challenge at work, a project that seems monumental and potentially exhausting. Following Epictetus's teachings, you decide to look at the situation with a new perspective. Instead of letting worry consume you, you focus on what you can actually control. Recognize that you cannot manipulate the final result of the project, but you can influence the quality of your effort, manage your time more effectively, and deal with stress with serenity and determination. Like a firm anchor in the midst of the storm, you hold on to the wisdom of Epictetus, remembering that your attitude and effort are the true levers to success. As we delve into the story of Jean-Paul Sartre, we are transported to the world of existentialism, a philosophy that challenges traditional notions of identity and purpose. Imagine yourself exploring the corridors of Paris, where Sartre spent much of his life immersed in deep reflections on the nature of human existence. Existentialism, a philosophical movement to which Sartre was closely linked, emerges as a response to the human condition, highlighting freedom, choice, and responsibility as fundamental pillars of existence. For Sartre, self-love is not just a matter of self-esteem or personal indulgence. It is a journey of self-discovery and self-determination. Imagine yourself as a lone sailor on a vast ocean, facing the unpredictable waves of life. Sartre gifts us with an internal compass, a compass that guides us through the labyrinth of our own existence. Loving yourself, according to Sartre, is embracing the radical freedom to be who we are, to make authentic choices, and to accept responsibility for our own lives. It is as if each of us were an artist, painting the picture of our own existence with bold strokes of choices and actions, creating meaning and identity amidst the immensity of the universe. In this scenario, selfishness gains a new perspective, different from the negative meaning it often receives. For Sartre, true selfishness is not just seeking personal advantages at the expense of others, but rather an inner journey of sincerity and integrity. It's having the courage to look inside yourself and take responsibility for our choices, even when we face challenges in life. Thus, by exploring the depths of Sartre's existential ideas, we better understand how self-love and selfishness are intertwined. We discover that at the core of our individual freedom is the transformative power of taking responsibility for our lives and navigating toward authenticity. In Sartre's philosophy, a crucial idea is that our existence precedes our essence. He tells us that it is essential to be true to yourself, to live authentically, without worrying about other people's expectations. Sartre's psychological freedom involves taking full responsibility for our actions, decisions, and results, something he calls authenticity. It reminds us that we have control over our own lives and should not blame other people or external events. Sartre states that man is condemned to be free because he is responsible for everything he does while he is in the world. The notion of authenticity, self-love, and selfishness are interconnected. Sartre's authenticity is related to self-love and healthy selfishness, as it encourages us to be true to ourselves, following our own convictions and values. Recognizing our desires, taking responsibility for our choices, and living according to our true essence are fundamental steps. It's about having enough confidence in yourself to live up to who you really are, even if it goes against other people's expectations. Being authentic, according to Sartre, does not mean being selfish or neglecting others. For him, being authentic involves freedom and responsibility. It's not an excuse to ignore people or avoid responsibilities. Rather, it is an invitation to be true to our freedom and the choices we make. There is a subtle but important difference between this and selfishness. Being authentic means recognizing our desires and acting in accordance with them, without harming others to satisfy our own interests. Reflect on your interactions with others to understand how Sartre's ideas of authenticity can be applied to everyday life. Being authentic means being true to what you need and feel, even if it's different from what other people want. It involves having the courage to be yourself and not changing your values to please others. At work, being authentic can mean choosing a career that makes you happy, rather than one that's popular or pays more. Recognizing your interests and goals and taking responsibility for your decisions that support them is very important. At the heart of Jean-Paul Sartre's philosophy, sincerity is crucial to self-love and balancing selfishness. Imagine yourself on a stage lit by truth, where everything you do and say shows who you really are. Sartre challenges us to be sincere and face reality with courage. Sincerity for Sartre is not just being honest, but it is fundamental to exist. It's looking inside yourself, facing your fears and desires, and taking responsibility for your choices. It's as if we were writing our own story instead of following a script imposed by society. Self-love is courageous and authentic. It's accepting yourself completely, with flaws and virtues, and asserting your right to be who you are. It's as if we are defending our right to exist amid external pressures. Sartre warns us about the danger of extreme selfishness, which isolates us from others. He says that our freedom is linked to the freedom of others, and that personal growth only comes from collaboration and mutual respect. Following in Sartre's footsteps, we are guided by sincerity and authenticity. It is a journey of self-knowledge, where self-love and healthy selfishness come together in integrity and compassion. Let's now explore the East, where we will learn about the basic teachings of Buddhism. The Buddha, also known as Siddhartha Gautama, passed down this system of thought more than 2,000 years ago. His teachings have been invaluable over time, helping many people around the world with advice that lasts forever. As we study what the Buddha taught, we discover a unique way of understanding self-love and selfishness. Buddhism teaches us about detachment and the importance of realizing that things are temporary. According to Buddha, true happiness does not come from satisfying fleeting desires, but from finding inner peace and lasting wisdom. This makes us reflect on how self-love is linked to compassion and the ability not to get attached to temporary things. As we continue our journey, we see how different philosophies and traditions offer us important ways to think about self-love and selfishness, which helps us better understand these important concepts for everyone. The Four Noble Truths are like the main lessons taught by Buddha. They explain what suffering is, why it happens, how we can stop it, and what to do about it. The Noble Eightfold Path is the path that Buddha showed to end suffering and achieve nirvana, which is a state of peace and total understanding. The Middle Way, also known as the Noble Eightfold Path, is a crucial part of Buddha's teachings. It's like a balanced road between blindly following our desires and completely ignoring our needs. This path encourages us to lead a balanced and calm life, avoiding extremes. Buddha discovered this path after experiencing life in situations of extreme poverty and wealth, realizing that neither led to true happiness or understanding. This complete path involves disciplining the mind, being wise, and acting correctly. This means having the right mindset, the right intentions, speaking and acting fairly, doing honest work, making diligent efforts, being aware of what is happening around us, and staying focused. All these practices together form a healthy way of life that helps people free themselves from suffering. When we delve deeper into understanding the middle way and its influence on self-love and selfishness, we discover a fascinating connection that permeates Buddhist teachings. In the Buddhist context, self-love is not just a matter of mere personal contentment, but rather a deep commitment to caring for the body and mind. It's like an inner journey in which we cultivate positive thoughts and avoid harmful ones, nurturing a mindset of self-compassion and authenticity. In this sense, the middle way supports and promotes self-love, guiding us to take care of ourselves in a balanced way, without falling into the extreme of unbridled selfishness or self-neglect. In Buddhism, selfishness is not inherently reprehensible. What is discouraged are forms of selfishness that keep us from the path of enlightenment and cause suffering for ourselves and others. Greed, anger, and delusion are considered the roots of suffering, as they keep us trapped in cycles of dissatisfaction and disconnection. However, Buddhism recognizes the importance of a healthy and balanced selfishness, which manifests itself in caring for one's own well-being. By valuing this aspect of selfishness, Buddhism highlights its crucial role in developing self-love and compassion. Following the middle path, therefore, does not mean renouncing personal care in favor of an ideal of absolute detachment. Rather, it involves finding a delicate balance between meeting our own needs and cultivating a compassionate heart that extends to others. It is as if we are walking a winding path where self-love and compassion intertwine, guiding us on the journey towards inner fulfillment and harmony with the world around us. Let's explore more about the practice of meditation, a fundamental pillar of Buddhism. Meditating is like setting aside a special moment just for yourself, where the outside world dissipates and you focus exclusively on your own thoughts and feelings. It is a time dedicated to cultivating a calm and conscious mind, a true act of self-care and self-understanding. By immersing ourselves in this state of tranquility, we are actually embracing a healthy selfishness, not in the conventional sense, but rather as a celebration of our own existence and well-being. This meditative practice harmonizes perfectly with the principles of the middle way, as it helps us avoid extremes and maintain a healthy balance in our lives. Just as meditation leads us to a state of inner peace, the middle way guides us to find a balance between the demands of the external world and the needs of our inner self. He teaches us not to get lost in excessive worry or completely withdraw from the world around us, but rather to find a middle point that allows us to care for ourselves while fulfilling our responsibilities to others. In everyday life, the middle way manifests itself as a wise guide, encouraging us to balance our personal and professional lives, recognizing the importance of self-care without neglecting our obligations to others. It inspires us to live in a balanced way, avoiding excesses of worldly pleasures, but also preventing us from depriving ourselves of the joys and comfort that life has to offer. This path teaches us not only to have compassion for others, but also for ourselves, recognizing that self-love is essential for human flourishing. Now, shifting the focus to Erich Fromm, his work, The Art of Love, takes us on an exciting journey through the universe of human emotions and self-development. Imagine yourself as an intrepid navigator, exploring the depths of the ocean of emotions, each wave representing a unique opportunity for growth and self-discovery. It is into this vast inner sea that Fromm invites us to dive, offering us a reliable compass to guide us through the challenges and complexities of the human heart. For Erich Fromm, love is not just a fleeting feeling, but rather a skill that we can develop throughout our lives. We can think of it as a sculptor carving a work of art, dedicating himself with patience and mastery. Self-love, in this context, appears as the mortar that unites each piece of sculpture, providing the basis for meaningful and genuine relationships. When delving into the concept of self-love, according to Fromm, it is important to understand that it is not about narcissism or egocentrism. Rather, it is a deep respect for our own humanity, a sincere recognition of who we are. It's as if we are embracing our imperfections and celebrating our uniqueness with courage and compassion. This self-love is not selfish. In fact, it serves as a bridge that connects us to others. It is as if we are building a community where each individual is valued for their unique contribution to existence. It is a connection of kindred souls, permeated by generosity and empathy. By exploring Fromm's ideas, we embark on a journey of self-knowledge and self-transformation. It is a journey full of challenges, but also of love, compassion, and acceptance. At the center of this journey is self-love, a powerful force that drives us to live with authenticity, integrity, and fullness. When we dwell on these reflections, we are led to a deeper understanding of love and self-love, recognizing them as vital components of our lives. They intertwine in complex ways, influencing our interactions and perceptions of the world around us. Erich Fromm's book offers valuable insights into how we can improve our ability to love, both ourselves and others, by cultivating an environment filled with compassion, respect, and empathy. Fromm famously expressed it, "In love, we find the key to being truly human. We find mental health." This statement highlights the vital importance of love in our journey towards full mental health. He argued that our psychological well-being is intrinsically linked to our ability to love, both ourselves and others. According to Fromm, self-love and love for others are intertwined, forming an essential basis for authentic and meaningful relationships. In practice, Fromm's self-love perspective inspires us to find a healthy balance between caring for ourselves and caring for others. This entails understanding our own needs and desires, while also genuinely caring about the needs and desires of others. Contrary to the view that loving yourself is selfish and individualistic, Fromm invites us to see self-love as a force that connects us more deeply with others. In our daily interactions, whether with friends, family, or co-workers, his ideas guide us to practice attentive listening, mutual understanding, and mutual respect based on the love we have for ourselves and others. Fromm's approach also teaches us to embrace our mistakes and work to improve, without subjecting ourselves to harsh self-criticism. It encourages us to critically reflect on our actions, providing opportunities for personal growth and deepening self-knowledge. His view of self-love as an inseparable component of love for others significantly expands our understanding of this concept. Thus, we are motivated to perceive self-love not as a selfish and isolated concern, but as an element that enables us to love others more genuinely and to lead a balanced and fulfilling life. When we delve into the different approaches to self-love and selfishness, we come across a rich range of ideas, each offering a unique perspective, but with converging points that allow us to understand these concepts more deeply and their applicability in our everyday lives. For example, Carl Rogers leads us down a path where loving ourselves is intrinsically linked to discovering and cultivating our true potential. Having a positive view of who we are enables us to fully explore our talents and abilities, an idea that also echoes in the words of Abraham Maslow when he addresses self-realization, which translates into the incessant search for our best. This journey through different schools of thought takes us on different paths, where we come across different conceptions about happiness and the role of self-love and selfishness in our lives. As we turn to Aristotle's ideas, we are introduced to eudaimonia, a state of contentment and fulfillment achieved through personal development and the continuous pursuit of excellence. For Aristotle, true happiness is intrinsically linked to individual growth and the realization of our maximum potential. In Ayn Rand's objectivism, the notion of rational selfishness emerges as the highest moral standard. Rand argues that rationally pursuing our own interests is not only ethical, but also morally right, thus challenging the conventional conception that selfishness is always harmful. This contrasts with the Stoic philosophy of Epictetus, which emphasizes control over oneself, inner freedom, and the pursuit of tranquility and virtue over immediate gratification. Jean-Paul Sartre's existentialist approach invites us to explore authenticity, which consists of embracing our freedom and taking full responsibility for our actions. In this context, Self-love and responsibility are intrinsically intertwined, demonstrating that we are free to shape our lives, but also responsible for the choices we make. On the other hand, the middle way of Buddhism taught by Buddha presents a unique view on the balance between renunciation and indulgence. It highlights the importance of a balanced approach to self-love and selfishness, suggesting that finding a middle ground between these extremes is crucial to achieving true inner peace and lasting contentment. Within this large set of ideas about what self-love, selfishness, and happiness are, each thinker brings something special that helps us better understand these concepts in our lives. Erich Fromm, through his writings, invites us to think deeply about love and personal growth. He reminds us that loving ourselves is not secondary, but rather a fundamental skill that helps us love and relate to others in a genuine and meaningful way. Imagine yourself strolling through a garden full of life, where each flower represents a special part of self-love, and each leaf tells a story of personal discovery and growth. By combining these different views, Fromm shows us that self-love is essential to fully understanding human love. He encourages us to look within, to the depths of our soul, and find there a limitless source of love and compassion. It's as if we were exploring a treasure chest, discovering gems of self-acceptance and self-esteem. Furthermore, Fromm reminds us that self-love is not something static, but rather a constant process of personal growth. It's as if we are planting seeds of self-love in our own inner garden and nurturing them over time. These seeds grow into a colorful tapestry of self-confidence, self-esteem, and self-compassion. At the same time, Fromm questions the common idea of selfishness, showing its complexity and subtlety. He makes us understand that taking care of ourselves is not selfishness but love and self-respect. It's as if we are adjusting the focus of a camera, finding the right balance between our own needs and the needs of others around us. Therefore, as we explore the thought of Fromm and other similar thinkers, we embark on a journey of discovery and personal change. It is a journey full of challenges and opportunities for growth, but also of love, empathy, and complete acceptance of who we are. And at the heart of this journey is self-love, a powerful force that guides us in the search for true happiness and personal satisfaction. When we apply these ideas to our daily lives, we learn important lessons. Loving yourself means recognizing our own importance and treating ourselves with kindness. This includes understanding and caring for our needs, whether they be physical, emotional, or mental. Meanwhile, healthy selfishness involves setting limits and making time for ourselves, even with all the responsibilities we have. It's taking care of our own interests without losing empathy and respect for others. In a world that often tells us to put the needs of others above our own, these philosophical and psychological insights remind us of the importance of taking care of ourselves too. After all, as the saying goes, we can't help others if we don't help ourselves first. As we explore this philosophical journey to understand self-love and selfishness, we must remember that taking care of ourselves is not just a selfish attitude, but an essential way to empower ourselves to contribute positively to the world around us. The teachings of the philosophers and psychologists we study offer valuable lessons that can guide our own journeys. As we absorb the ideas of thinkers like Aristotle, Rand, Sartre, and Buddha, we realize that self-love is not a selfish barrier, but rather a driver for significant personal growth. These philosophies suggest that by balancing love for ourselves, we are better able to enrich the lives of those around us. Following in the footsteps of these great thinkers doesn't just mean absorbing knowledge, but applying these teachings to our own daily lives. As we seek to find a balance that helps us grow as people, it is crucial to understand that self-love and moderate selfishness are forces that propel us forward, not just obstacles in our path. They are like the foundations of a house that hold us steady on a journey that is not only good, but also meaningful, fulfilling, and truly ours. By taking inspiration from these concepts, we can aspire to live lives that not only make us happy, but also bring something positive to the world around us. Have you ever wondered about some really important things about human life? Who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose of life? If you have already asked these questions, then you are exploring, without even realizing it, the world of existentialism. a philosophy focused on individual existence, freedom and decision-making. Imagine yourself floating in space, looking at the world like a small ball lost in the infinite universe. The entire history of humanity, with its successes, failures and experiences, summarized in a single point. It's really impressive, isn't it? It may even seem strange, but don't worry, because this feeling of insignificance is exactly where existentialism begins. In simple terms, existentialism is a philosophy that seeks to understand who we are and what the meaning of life is through freedom, choices, and personal responsibility. He does not accept the idea that the universe has inherent truths or meanings for our individual lives. On the contrary, it suggests that each of us must find meaning in our own journey, navigating a vast and indifferent universe, where pre-established rules or moralities do not point to an easy path. This way of thinking began a long time ago, in the late 1800s and early 1900s, emerging after World War II, when people were confused and disappointed. It was like a revolt of ideas, exploring how humans felt in a world that seemed increasingly meaningless. Among the many philosophers who contributed to this interesting idea, two stand out and will be our guides in this exploration: Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus. Jean-Paul Sartre is often considered the most important person in existentialism. He believes that we exist first, without a defined purpose or nature, and it is our responsibility to create our own purpose through the choices we make. For Sartre, we are not born with a specific mission or a predefined meaning. Instead, we live in a world without clear rules, and it is our responsibility to give meaning to our lives through our actions and choices. Exploring the ideas of Albert Camus is like embarking on an intrepid journey towards the pulsating core of human existence, where every thought resembles a shooting star cutting through the skies of reflection. Imagine yourself sailing through a vast ocean of uncertainty, where each wave represents a unique challenge and each constellation an enigma to be deciphered. For Camus, the philosophy of the absurd is not an invitation to despair, but a call to action. It's as if we are faced with a cosmic puzzle, challenging us to find meaning in a universe that often seems indifferent to our desires. And in accepting this challenge, we uncover a freedom that transcends the barriers of the human condition, a freedom to forge our own purpose in an enigmatic cosmos. As we delve deeper into Camus's words and thoughts, we are urged to question our own beliefs and convictions, to challenge the truths we consider unshakable, and to embrace uncertainty as an ally in the search for understanding. It's as if we were navigating through an infinite labyrinth, where every corner holds a new revelation about our essence and our place in the world. At the heart of Camusian philosophy is the idea that life can only be understood looking back, but must be lived looking forward. It's as if we are balancing on the tightrope of existence, moving forward with the boldness of an experienced tightrope walker towards the unknown. Therefore, we invite you to join us on this philosophical journey, to explore the depths of the absurd and embrace the freedom that accompanies it. Because in the end, it is in the search for meaning in the midst of chaos that we find the true essence of life. Exploring the roots of existentialism is like venturing through a labyrinth of ideas that span the centuries, each of them like a compass that guides us on the journey of life. Imagine wandering through a lush forest, where every tree is a philosopher whispering ancient secrets, challenging us to discover the truth behind existence. Søren Kierkegaard, often called the father of existentialism, emerges as an imposing figure in this vast philosophical panorama. He invites us to delve into the depths of the human condition, to question pre-established truths, and to embrace subjectivity as a tool for understanding. For Kierkegaard, truth is not something ready and finished, but rather something that each individual must seek through their own personal journey, a journey filled with experiences and reflections that shape each person's unique perception of the world. Thus, when venturing along the paths of Kierkegaardian philosophy, we are challenged to look beyond social conventions and predetermined notions of truth. It is as if we are discovering a hidden treasure amidst the dense vegetation of existence, a treasure that can only be found when we allow ourselves to question, explore, and unravel the mysteries that permeate our own lives. As we venture through the intricate paths of Kierkegaard's philosophy, Friedrich Nietzsche emerges from the shadows as a captivating figure whose influence resonates like an inspiring echo. Their presence is like a flash of light amidst the darkness, urging us to challenge social norms and embrace our inherent uniqueness. Nietzsche encourages us to question the established, to challenge conventional values, and to forge our own destinies. In a world where conformity is often celebrated at the expense of originality, Nietzsche reminds us of the vital importance of remaining authentic and true to ourselves, even if it means going against the tide. As we delve deeper into the ideas of these masters of existentialism, we are faced with the need to examine our own deep-rooted convictions and beliefs. We are compelled to explore the innermost recesses of our soul in search of meaning and purpose. For at the end of the journey, it is in the never-ending quest for self-discovery that we find the true essence of human existence, where each step forward is a revelation, each challenge is an opportunity, and each choice shapes the fabric of our own narrative. Although its roots date back to ancient times, existentialism as we know it today flourished after the tumult of World War II. This dark period was marked by a haze of sadness, deep mourning, and a palpable sense of disorientation after the cruel devastation of war. It was a time when once unshakable certainties were challenged, forcing individuals to reconsider their purpose and identities in a world fragmented by pain and loss. In this scenario of uncertainty and forced introspection, the fundamental principles of existentialism emerged as a guiding compass, illuminating the path to a deeper understanding of the human condition. Individual freedom, once seen as a given, has revealed itself as a precious treasure, while responsibility for our own choices has taken on undeniable weight amid the surrounding chaos. The search for authenticity and the true essence of existence has become an urgent and vital journey in a world marked by uncertainty and despair. It was within this cauldron of existential challenges and dilemmas that the seeds of modern existentialism found fertile soil to flourish. The pressing need to find meaning amid chaos, to reconstruct identity in the face of loss, and to confront the anguish of limitless freedom fueled the growth and spread of existentialist ideas. Thus, in a world torn apart by war and desolation, existentialism emerged as a vital and resonant philosophy, offering answers and provoking profound reflections on the purpose and meaning of human life. At the heart of this complex and thought-provoking philosophy lies a revolutionary idea that existence precedes essence. This statement challenges traditional conceptions that suggest we are born with a predetermined purpose or inherent nature. Instead, it invites us to consider that we are free beings, whose essence is shaped not by divine predestination, but by the choices we make and the actions we take throughout our lives. This challenge to established paradigms leads us to deeply question the meaning of human existence and to seek a broader understanding of how to find purpose and meaning amid the uncertainty and contingency of life. During a critical period in history, existentialism emerged as a powerful tool for reflecting on fundamental questions of human existence. Prominent figures such as Simone de Beauvoir brought new perspectives to the movement, addressing not only universal existential questions, but also challenging the social and cultural norms that shape and limit human experience. In her seminal work, The Second Sex, Beauvoir not only explored the complexities of the female condition, but also connected these experiences to the emerging feminist movement. In doing so, she significantly expanded the scope of existentialism, highlighting the intersection between existential and social issues, and shedding light on the struggles faced by women in a society dominated by patriarchy. As existentialism rose to prominence, the world was immersed in an era of political turmoil and social transformation. The emergence of totalitarian regimes, the horrors of the Holocaust, and the imminent threat of nuclear war have cast a shadow of fear and uncertainty over humanity. These traumatic events, marked by the absurdity of human existence, served as catalysts for existentialist reflection, fueling the desire to find meaning and purpose in a world marked by chaos and desolation. Furthermore, existentialism blossomed like a rare flower in the garden of literature and art. Authors such as Fyodor Dostoevsky, Franz Kafka, and Samuel Beckett brought existentialist principles to life in their works, painting vivid portraits of despair, alienation, and absurdity. In his novels, short stories, and plays, characters face the overwhelming challenges of human existence, struggling against the chains of society and confronting the inevitability of human destiny. His narratives, steeped in the essence of existentialism, echo the deep questions about life, death, and purpose that resonate in the minds of many. Therefore, we can understand that existentialism is not just an isolated philosophical current. It is a complex, multicolored tapestry woven from the threads of philosophical thought, the vicissitudes of history, and the brushstrokes of cultural expression. Emerging at the crossroads of these diverse elements, existentialism emerges as an intrepid response to the challenges of the modern world, challenging us to confront the existential void with courage and determination. Now, let's explore two pillars of this movement in more depth: Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus. These two intellectual titans emerged from a tumultuous period in history, their ideas echoing through time to offer us valuable insights as we navigate life's turbulent waters. Jean-Paul Sartre, born in Paris, France in 1905, was a remarkable and multifaceted figure. In addition to his prominence as a philosopher, he also distinguished himself as a novelist, playwright, and critic, leaving an indelible mark not only on the academic world, but also on popular culture. Imbued with the spirit of existentialism, Sartre advocated individual freedom, responsibility, and the relentless pursuit of authenticity in existence. Despite life's adversities, including the loss of his parents in childhood and an upbringing under the care of his grandparents, Sartre flourished academically and entered a prestigious university in Paris, where his destiny became intertwined with that of Simone de Beauvoir, an equally remarkable figure. Together, they challenged social conventions, exploring the limits of relationships and society's values. Now let's direct our attention to Albert Camus, another intellectual giant of this period. Born in Algeria in 1913, Camus left a lasting legacy not only in philosophy, but also in literature and theatre. His philosophy, often associated with existentialism, is labeled as absurd. For Camus, life is inherently meaningless, an existential absurdity that cannot be ignored. However, rather than succumbing to despair, he proposed a rebellion against the absurd, an affirmation of life and authenticity in the face of cosmic emptiness. Sartre, a man whose path crossed the lands devastated by the Second World War, lived experiences that left deep marks on his mind and at the heart of his philosophical reflections. During his time as a meteorological expert in the French army, Sartre was captured by German troops in 1940, finding himself in the turmoil of war and imprisonment. These years of trial not only shaped his worldview, but also ignited his passion for existential questions that permeated his philosophical work. Among the many ideas that Sartre brought to light within the scope of existentialism, one stands out as a beacon in the darkness of uncertainty: the notion that existence precedes essence. This idea, so simple in its complexity, revolutionizes the way we perceive human nature. While previous philosophies suggested that each human being possesses a predetermined essence, an intrinsic nature that defines them from birth, Sartre challenges this fundamental notion. For him, we are beings that exist first, thrown into the world without an inherent purpose, without a prior essence. Only along our individual journeys do we discover, define, and shape our own essence. This conception of radical freedom is a cornerstone in Sartre's philosophical edifice. For him, freedom is not just a luxury, but an inescapable and at times frightening reality. Each individual is thrown into a universe of possibilities, with the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. In this cosmos of choices, there are no pre-established rules. There are no divine guides. It is ourselves, our actions, that determine the course of our existence. It is in this radical freedom that we find the true power and true anguish of being human, forging our destiny with each step, each choice, each decision. Freedom, for Sartre, is a gift and a curse intertwined, like the threads of a complex fabric. It grants individuals the power to shape their own destinies, to follow unique paths, and to search for meaning in a seemingly indifferent universe. However, this same freedom carries with it the weight of responsibility, like an anchor that keeps us grounded in the reality of self-determination. Taking control of our lives means accepting responsibility for every choice, for every action, for every step taken in the intricate labyrinth of existence. It's as if we are artisans, shaping our own narrative amidst the chaos of the world. However, this freedom is also a source of anxiety, a fog that hangs over the human mind. The fear of choosing wrongly, of taking the wrong path, of failing in the search for meaning and purpose can become overwhelming. Faced with this dilemma, Sartre observes that many individuals choose to embrace bad faith, a kind of self-deception that allows them to avoid the burden of freedom. By blaming external factors, circumstances, fate, social norms, for the direction of their lives, they abdicate responsibility and personal agency, losing themselves in a tangle of excuses and justifications. However, recognizing and accepting our freedom is the first step to living an authentic life, a life in which we are the authors of our own destiny. In Sartre's monumental work, Being and Nothingness, the concept of nothingness emerges as a driving force behind human existence. He describes consciousness as a vacuum, a blank screen onto which we project our experiences and assign meaning to the world around us. It is this primordial emptiness that gives us the power of freedom, allowing us to transcend the limitations of the material world and forge our own destiny. Sartre's work is like an invitation to an expedition into the depths of the human being, a journey towards the core of consciousness, where the mysteries of existence intertwine with freedom and the emptiness of nothing. Imagine yourself sailing in a sea of reflections, each wave carrying with it an opportunity to delve deeper into your own essence. It is a journey that not only challenges our beliefs, but also urges us to embrace the radical freedom that emerges from understanding our own condition. In this exploration of being and nothingness, we find not only unanswered questions, but also the key to unlocking the mysteries of existence. Sartre also warns us about the danger of becoming objects in the eyes of others. In his famous words, "Hell is other people," he points to the fact that other people's perception can imprison us in a cage of expectations and judgments, limiting our freedom. However, this does not mean that all relationships are inherently harmful, but rather that we must be mindful of how the views of others can shape our own perception of ourselves and restrict our freedom. In addition to his philosophical forays, Sartre was also an activist, committed to issues of social justice and political action. For him, philosophy was not just a field of study, but a powerful tool for questioning power structures, promoting social change, and seeking an authentic and free life. Existentialism in this context becomes not just an abstract theory, but a call to action, a call for each individual to recognize their freedom and use it to fight injustice and build a more just and egalitarian world. Being and Nothingness, Sartre's masterpiece published in 1943, is more than just a book. It is an intellectual journey that invites us to reflect on the deepest questions of human existence. In this monumental work, Sartre not only explores the nature of the human mind and the mysteries of freedom, but also challenges us to confront the contradictions and paradoxes that permeate our own existence. It is an invitation to search for truth, a search that leads us to explore the darkest corners of the human soul in search of the light of understanding. Within Sartre's intricate philosophical web, there is a crucial distinction between two types of existence that demand our attention. Firstly, we find being in itself, which represents the objective existence of things such as rocks or trees, devoid of any awareness of themselves. They are entities that simply exist, without the flowering of thought or awareness of their own existence. In contrast, being for itself emerges, which describes the subjective existence of conscious beings like us, endowed with the unique ability to contemplate their own existence. Sartre suggests that the core of human nature lies in being for itself, where freedom reigns. It argues that by our very nature, we are inherently free beings, as we are not fixed like inert objects. We are constantly changing. Our consciousness, this nothing that differentiates us from the objective world, gives us the unique ability to question, deny, and conceive realities different from those that present themselves objectively. For Sartre, freedom transcends the mere abstract concept. It is the very essence of our existence. It challenges us to look beyond the limits imposed by tangible reality, to transcend the boundaries of the known, and to embrace the infinite possibilities of choice that are granted to us. This freedom is not just a mental phenomenon. It is a power that permeates every aspect of our lives, influencing our decisions, our relationships, and even our very identity. Imagine freedom as a vast ocean, with its crystal-clear waters stretching as far as the eye can see. Just as a sailor braves the unknown seas in search of new lands, we as human beings sail the vast ocean of existence, exploring endless possibilities and shaping the course of our lives with every choice we make. As we venture through the pages of being and nothingness, we are invited to reflect on the deeper meaning of our own humanity. Sartre guides us on a journey of self-discovery, challenging us to question who we are and what is the purpose of our existence in this vast universe. It is an invitation to explore the recesses of our soul, to confront our deepest fears, and to embrace the freedom to be authentically ourselves. In the end, Being and Nothingness is not just a book, it is a call to action, an invitation to free ourselves from the shackles of routine and embrace the fullness of our own freedom. It is a reminder that even in the face of life's uncertainties and challenges, we are the builders of our destiny, the leaders of our own destinies, courageously navigating into life's unknown. This striking phrase, from being and nothingness, encourages us to see humanity in a dynamic and constantly changing way. Imagine life as an endless journey, a path full of opportunities that unfold before us with every step we take. Sartre reminds us that we are more than just the result of our past experiences. We are beings who are always evolving, shaped not only by what we have experienced so far, but also by what we hope to achieve in the future. This idea makes us think about the power of hope and determination. Just like a seed that sprouts and grows in sunlight, we also have within us the potential to develop, prosper, and achieve incredible things. Every present moment is a chance to reinvent ourselves, to free ourselves from the past and embrace the vast future that awaits us. When we reflect on this phrase, we are challenged to question our own limits and overcome the obstacles we encounter along the way. She reminds us that despite challenges and failures, we have the potential to achieve great things, as long as we have perseverance and confidence in ourselves. So the next time we feel discouraged or discouraged by life's challenges, let's remember these inspiring words from Sartre. They motivate us to keep hope in our hearts, to continue fighting for our dreams, and to value the transformative power that we all possess. Let's talk about Nausea, Sartre's first book and an important part of his work. Published in 1938, the book tells the story of Antoine Roquentin, a man going through a deep emotional crisis who feels disturbed when he realizes that life can seem meaningless and absurd. Sartre explores themes of loneliness, freedom, and lack of external meaning through Roquentin's psychological suffering. When Roquentin realizes that the world seems indifferent to him and that his life seems empty of purpose, he feels like vomiting. And this is how Sartre describes this feeling. This word highlights the deep discomfort that can arise when we realize how meaningless life at its core can seem. Let's analyze this phrase from Nausea. Every existing thing is born without reason, prolongs itself through weakness, and dies by chance. This disturbing idea encapsulates Roquentin's anguish and consequently our own psychological situation in a world that has no intrinsic meaning. How do we deal with this? What do we do? For Sartre, the answer lies in the freedom that this uncertainty grants us. The absence of a fundamental meaning does not force us to be sad. On the contrary, it offers us a world of possibilities. It gives us the power, or even forces us, to create our own purpose and define who we are through the decisions and actions we take. Another line from Nausea reflects this idea. I'm free. There's no reason to live anymore. All the ones I've tried have been abandoned, and I can't imagine anymore. I have to build them myself. This is a clear call to action, a recognition of how challenging but also liberating it is to create our own meaning in a world that doesn't offer it to us. Sartre's books such as Being and Nothingness and Nausea courageously show us what it means to be human. They make us reflect on the hard truth that we are free and that there is no externally imposed meaning. But they also teach us that we are the ones who shape our own identities. Albert Camus, born in 1913 in French Algeria, had an early life marked by challenges and adversity. Raised in poverty, from an early age he was confronted with the harsh realities of the world around him. This early experience imbued him with a deep understanding of political problems and the suffering of people in difficult situations. Thus, from a young age, Camus developed a unique sensitivity to social injustices and a burning determination to seek solutions to the dilemmas faced by the less privileged. Despite the difficulties, he stood out at school, revealing an exceptional talent and an innate passion for knowledge. His exceptional academic performance was recognized with a scholarship to study philosophy at the University of Algiers. It was there that his philosophical inclinations found fertile soil to flourish, and his interest in the subject intensified even further. Immersed in the depths of philosophical thought, Camus began to follow a path that would lead him to become one of the most influential thinkers of the 20th century. His intellectual journey at university was fundamental to the formation of his worldviews and the development of his philosophical and literary ideas. It was in this academic environment that he began to question social injustices, explore the mysteries of human existence, and reflect on the meaning of life in a world often marked by pain and uncertainty. From this starting point, Camus embarked on a relentless search for truth and authenticity, a journey that would profoundly shape his work and his worldview. During his college years, Albert Camus was enveloped by a diverse palette of interests that intertwined harmoniously, enriching his worldview and shaping his intellectual trajectory. His love of theater, journalism, and political engagement organically merged with his quest for philosophical understanding, forming the foundations of a unique and multifaceted perspective on existence. Theater, with its unique ability to bring stories to life and explore human conflicts, has become a captivating tool for conveying its reflections on the human condition. Through journalism, Camus found a powerful voice to express his social concerns and promote change in society, especially during his days as editor of the newspaper Combat during the French Resistance, a time when his convictions were put to the test amid the turmoil of World War II. Although he left Algeria to study in France before the outbreak of war, Camus did not shy away from the crucial events of his time. He dove headfirst into the resistance, standing up against fascism and challenging oppression in all its forms. His courage was exemplified by his role in publishing an underground newspaper, an act that testified to his unwavering commitment to his ideals and his determination to confront the injustices that permeated the world around him. The unique fusion of his philosophy, writing, and political activism not only singularly defined his work, but also left a lasting legacy that resonates through the decades. Although many have associated him with existentialism, Camus preferred to characterize his philosophy as philosophy of the absurd, a perspective that reflected his refusal to reduce the complexity of human experience to simplistic concepts. For Camus, life was a tapestry woven with threads of uncertainty and paradox, a vision that manifested itself in his rich and nuanced approach to philosophy and existence. Therefore, as we explore the universe of Albert Camus, we not only come across his penetrating philosophical ideas, but we are also invited to understand how his personal experiences, marked by struggle and solidarity, shaped and enriched his worldview. Albert Camus, in his monumental work, The Myth of Sisyphus, presents us with a vivid metaphor that echoes through the ages, shedding light on the human condition in the face of the absurdity of existence. By telling the story of Sisyphus, condemned to roll a boulder up a mountain, only to have it roll back again and again, Camus invites us to reflect on the essentially illogical and cyclical nature of life. Like Sisyphus, we find ourselves trapped in a seemingly endless cycle of effort and frustration, where our longings for meaning, order, and clarity often collide with the relentless reality of an unresponsive and chaotic world. However, what makes Camus' approach so profound and revealing is not the mere exposure of the human condition in the face of absurdity, but rather his unique and uplifting interpretation of this existential confrontation. Far from succumbing to melancholy and despair, Camus argues that it is precisely through recognizing the absurd that we find true freedom and authenticity. By embracing the inevitability of the absurd and accepting the precariousness of our condition, we are freed from the chains of illusion and false hope. For Camus, true happiness lies not in the frantic search for meaning or the escape from anguish, but rather in the courageous acceptance of the absurd and the constant search for meaning within our own lives. By stating that the very struggle towards heights is enough to fill a man's heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Camus invites us to transcend adversity and find joy in our own journey. The image of Sisyphus, tirelessly persisting in his futile task, becomes a symbol of resilience and determination in the face of the uncertainties of existence. Ultimately, by embracing the absurd and embracing our own humanity, we can find deep peace and a sense of purpose within the seemingly meaningless chaos that surrounds us. Albert Camus, in his bold philosophy of the absurd, not only invites us to recognize the meaninglessness intrinsic to existence, but also inspires us to rebel against this seemingly hopeless condition. He reminds us that the simple choice to continue living, despite the uncertainties and absurdities we face, is an act of rebellion in itself. By refusing despair and persisting in the search for meaning and authenticity, we are affirming our presence and dignity in the universe, in line with the spirit of revolt that permeates Camus' ideas, both in the philosophical and political spheres. For Camus, this revolt was not limited only to the existential sphere, but also extended to the political sphere, where he fought tirelessly for justice and freedom against any form of oppression. His passionate defense of human rights and equality reflects Camus' unwavering commitment to the values of freedom and solidarity, which he considered fundamental to building a more just and compassionate society. Furthermore, Camus challenges the notion that we should pursue predefined values or blindly follow rules imposed by society. He believed that each individual had the power to create their own values, finding meaning in the simple things in life, like feeling the sun on their face or enjoying the company of friends. This appreciation of the present moment and authentic experiences is exemplified by characters like Meursault, the protagonist of The Stranger, who lives on his own terms, oblivious to social conventions and conventional morality. Thus, Albert Camus' writings, especially his masterpiece The Stranger, not only invite us to reflect deeply on the meaning of life and the human condition, but also challenge us to explore our own existence with courage and authenticity. In a world permeated by uncertainty and absurdity, Camus's words echo as a call to rebellion against resignation and the incessant search for truth and meaning. The saga of The Stranger delves into the depths of fundamental concepts for Albert Camus, revealing the absurdity of existence, indifference towards the world, and the impetus for rebellion. Through the journey of Meursault, an apparently detached man, born in Algeria but living in France, the author takes us on an introspective journey, where life unfolds before us like a theatrical play without a defined script. Meursault, with his apparent apathy and emotional detachment, personifies the figure of the foreigner in a society where social norms and conventions dictate human conduct. His lack of reaction to his mother's death resonates with the challenge of the absurdity of life, where events unfold without an evident purpose. This attitude, devoid of conformity to social expectations, challenges conventional notions of behavior, shedding raw light on the ephemeral and illusory nature of social conventions. As we explore The Stranger's captivating narrative, we are confronted with the complexity of the human condition and the never-ending search for meaning in an indifferent world. Meursault's indifference is not just a rejection of social norms, but a bold assertion of individual autonomy in the face of existential absurdity. It is a call to rebellion against blind conformity and a provocation for each of us to challenge imposed structures and find authenticity in our own lives. Meursault's behavior, his apparent indifference towards the rules of society, his apparent lack of adaptation to common expectations, and at times his violent actions without a clear motive, reflect the way he views the absurdity of life, as outlined by Camus' thought. For the French philosopher, human life often seems to lack a clear meaning, which makes attempts to find meaning in it somewhat strange. Meursault's attitude can be seen as a way of challenging normal and conventional social rules, a way of opposing what Camus saw as a futile search for meaning in a world that seems indifferent. So, by reading The Stranger and reflecting on the ideas of Albert Camus, We are invited not only to question Meursault's actions, but also to better understand the absurdity in our own lives. The book encourages us to explore the many complexities of being alive, encouraging us to face the absurd head-on and perhaps find meaning in our own personal journey. In the courtroom scene, Meursault shares his thoughts by saying, "I did this, and I could have done that. I did that, and I didn't do that." This statement reveals a lot about Meursault's view of life, and also about Camus' philosophy of the absurd. For Meursault, life is a sequence of choices without a clear meaning. Although this perspective may seem negative, Camus believed that recognizing the absurdity of life does not mean giving up or standing still. On the contrary, it offers people the opportunity to live freely without feeling tied to social rules and norms. By leading Meursault to his death, Camus emphasizes this. Facing death, Meursault decides to accept the absurdity of life and feel connected to a universe that seems indifferent, echoing Camus' call to rebel against the absurd and affirm life. However, The Stranger goes beyond being just a story about sadness and rebellion. It also explores questions of right and wrong in a complicated way. Meursault's actions and how people react to them make us think about what morality is, especially in a world without clear rules about it. Is there a sense of right and wrong in a world that seems to have no meaning? And if it exists, what does it mean? Camus does not give us simple answers. On the contrary, he encourages us to think about these issues for ourselves, telling us that we are responsible for deciding what is right and wrong. At the end of the book, Meursault reflects, "To feel less alone and for everything to end soon, I just needed to wish that many people were there on the day of my execution and that they welcomed me with screams of hate." This important moment at the end of the story of The Stranger shows in a strong and powerful way the philosophy of the absurd proposed by Albert Camus. Meursault, as the main character, takes us down a path where we face the unimportance of the universe and the uncertainty that permeates life. Throughout the story, we are challenged to think about meaning and morality in a world that seems to have no clear purpose. Camus' philosophy, with its dark tone, motivates us to courageously face the absurdity of existence. Thinking about the purpose of life is like opening a door to a labyrinth full of unanswered questions, where at every corner we are faced with the frightening void of absurdity. In this challenging scenario, Camus emerges as a courageous guide, encouraging us not to passively accept the disturbing mystery of existence. His voice sounds like a bold invitation to challenge the chains of absurdity and find our own sense of meaning. In the journey proposed by Camus, we are challenged to explore the deepest corners of our own mind, to question our assumptions, and to unravel the mysteries of our existence. Instead of simply accepting the emptiness of absurdity, we are encouraged to actively search for meaning, turning emptiness into a canvas on which we can paint our own story. This journey is not easy. Facing emptiness, embracing uncertainty, and defying conventional expectations requires courage and determination. But it is in this confrontation with the unknown that we find the opportunity to go beyond the absurd and create our own path towards authenticity and wholeness. Thus, as we explore the uncharted territory of the absurd, we discover not only a discouraging void, but also a vast ocean of possibilities. At this intersection between despair and hope, we find the true essence of human existence, where the search for meaning becomes not just a journey, but an art form, a magnificent expression of our own freedom and individuality. Thus, as we follow the story unfolding in The Stranger, we are invited to learn from the main character's experiences, understanding that despite facing the world's indifference, we have the unique power to give meaning to our own lives. Camus' philosophy, which challenges us while strengthening us, encourages us to face the challenges of the absurd with courage and to create our own purpose in the face of life's uncertainties. Next, we will explore how Sartre and Camus' ideas about life can help us in our daily lives, guiding us to be authentic, free, and find personal meaning. After examining the thinking of these philosophers, let's focus on the central question. How does existential philosophy apply to our lives today? How can the ideas of these thinkers from the past guide us in the face of the challenges of the current century? Firstly, both philosophers encourage us to change our way of seeing life. With Sartre, we are motivated to accept our total freedom and to assume the responsibility that comes with it, even in a world full of external influences. Social rules, family expectations, and cultural norms may seem like tracks that guide us, but in reality, we are the drivers of our own train of life. Sartre's philosophy shines like a light at the end of the tunnel of conformity, reminding us that we are the writers of our own history, capable of determining our own destiny regardless of external pressures. This realization triggers a feeling of radical freedom, like the cool breeze of a new dawn. Imagine yourself at a crossroads, looking at a path already taken, but knowing that you have the power to open new roads. Maybe you find yourself stuck in a job that doesn't fuel your passion or purpose. Under the aegis of Sartre's existentialism, this scenario becomes a call to action, an opportunity to untie the bonds of conformity and navigate towards personal fulfillment. Freedom of choice, so fundamental to Sartre, becomes a beacon of guidance amid the fog of social expectations. It allows us to redefine our purpose, embrace our dreams, and embrace authenticity in its purest form. Instead of being puppets in the hands of fate or victims of circumstances, we become the architects of our own destinies, shaping our lives according to our own visions and intrinsic values. Imagine yourself then like a painter facing a blank canvas, with a brush in your hand and a vast spectrum of colors at your disposal. Each stroke is a choice, a decision that shapes the landscape of your existence. You are the narrator of your own story, the protagonist of your personal journey. And in this plot, there are no predetermined lines or guaranteed outcomes. There is only the freedom to create, to explore, and to truly be yourself. Sartre invites us to challenge the invisible chains that bind us to mediocrity, to break with the conventions that suffocate us, and to embrace the fullness of our individual freedom. In doing so, we not only discover the power to shape our destiny, but we also find a deep sense of purpose and meaning in life's journey. It is a call to adventure, a celebration of the uniqueness of every human being, and a passionate affirmation of our ability to transform the world around us through the choices we make. With Camus, we learn to face and understand the confusing parts of life. Instead of seeking comfort in false ideas about ultimate meaning or final salvation, we are encouraged to create our own meanings and values. This frees us from the pressure of following what society expects of us and the endless pursuit of success as determined by external factors. Imagine yourself in a labyrinth surrounded by paths that intertwine in unknown directions. Every step is a choice. Every corner reveals new challenges. Just like in the labyrinth of life, there is no definitive map that guides us out of the shadows of uncertainty. But with Camus' philosophy as an internal compass, we can find the clarity and courage to navigate the mazes of existence, shaping our own destinies with each step we take. Camus' idea of rebellion can motivate us to persist in our lives, even in the face of challenges and difficulties. For example, imagine you face a personal problem, such as a failure or a loss. Camus' philosophy would suggest that you face this challenge head-on, recognizing its meaninglessness, and keep fighting, defying what seems absurd. In this scenario, each obstacle becomes an opportunity to strengthen our resilience and reaffirm our determination to live with integrity and courage. And thinking about a practical situation, if something doesn't work out in your personal or professional life, instead of feeling discouraged or interpreting it as something that affects your self-esteem, you could see it as a normal part of life and use this experience to learn and reaffirm your commitment to your choices. Every setback becomes a chance for growth, an opportunity to refine our goals and enhance our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Furthermore, the existentialist idea of being authentic inspires us to truly dedicate ourselves to the things we love and care about, which makes us feel more fulfilled and purposeful in a world that is often more concerned with quick diversions and distractions. Existentialism invites us to fully commit to life, to embrace our passions, and to live according to our own values and convictions. It is a call to awaken from the slumber of conformity and embrace the fullness of our existence with our entire being. Existentialism gives us an interesting view of moral responsibility in a world that, according to its principles, has no definitive moral rules. We are challenged to take responsibility for deciding what is right and wrong, creating our own ethical principles to guide our choices and actions. This approach, based on reflection on ourselves and conversation with others, proposes a more conscious and active way of dealing with ethical issues. Imagine yourself at a crossroads where each path represents a moral choice to be made. In front of us, there are no clear signs, only the inner voices that guide us towards what we consider right or wrong. At this crossroads, we are the architects of our own ethical conduct, shaping it based on our personal values and convictions. Existentialism gives us the freedom to forge our own ethical paths, without being bound by external dogmas or commandments. When we embrace existentialist philosophy, we open the doors to an introspective journey, inviting us to question and redefine our worldview. It is as if we were given a detailed map to explore the territories of human existence, each stroke delineating the boundaries of our freedom and responsibility. Existentialism frees us from the burden of imposed meaning, inviting us to carve our own purpose out of the rough stone of life. In this sense, we become artisans of our own ethics, weaving threads of reflection and action to create the fabric of our morality. Ethical responsibility is not a burden to be borne, but rather a privilege and an opportunity to become the masters of our ethical destiny. Each choice, no matter how small, becomes a paintbrush on the canvas of our moral identity, painting the vibrant colors of our core values and principles. But this ethical journey is not a solitary one. It is an ongoing dialogue between the self and the world around us. We engage in deep conversations with our own thoughts and the voices of others, weaving a tapestry of understanding and mutual respect. It is a delicate dance between individual authenticity and social interdependence, where each step brings us closer to a fuller and more compassionate ethics. Therefore, existentialism is not just a philosophy, but a call to ethical action, a call to face life with courage, integrity, and conscience. By embracing this philosophy, we not only find a path to personal meaning, but we also become architects of a more ethical and compassionate world. Imagine yourselves as artisans of morality, shaping the world around us with the mortar of existentialist ethics. Every action, every choice, every word woven into the tapestry of life reflects not only our personal values, but also our commitment to a more just and compassionate world. Existentialism is not just an abstract theory, but rather an invitation to transform our convictions into concrete actions that promote the common good. Thus, by embracing existentialist ideas, we are encouraged not only to question conventional norms, but also to take active responsibility in building an ethical path that not only reflects our deepest values, but also contributes to a more ethical and compassionate world. Let's think about purpose in a simple way. In a world full of options, existentialism tells us not to get stuck thinking too much. He encourages us to embrace uncertainty, freedom, and the responsibility of making choices. A famous quote by Sartre says, "We are what we choose." This means that instead of looking for a purpose that comes from outside, existentialism encourages us to create our own purpose with the things we do, the choices we make, and the responsibilities we take on. Let's imagine that you are in a situation where you need to decide about your career. There are different paths, each with its own good things and challenges. Existentialism would suggest that instead of looking outside yourself for answers, you look within, understand what you truly want and value, and then choose a path that is in line with those feelings. Your purpose is not something you find ready-made, but something you create with your decisions and actions. When we think about feeling fulfilled, existentialism offers us a positive and inspiring perspective. This philosophy highlights the importance of being true to oneself and engaging meaningfully with life, which contributes to a deep sense of satisfaction. The idea of achievement goes beyond just following common social expectations or seeking successes that everyone recognizes. It arises when we live an authentic life, making choices that truly represent us, dedicating ourselves to genuine passions and building our own meaning. For example, finding satisfaction might be choosing a hobby that, even if not popular, brings personal joy. It could be discovering something that really makes your heart flutter. Or feeling fulfilled could come from helping others or protecting the environment. Participating in altruistic actions that benefit other people or the planet can bring a great sense of personal contentment. Additionally, cultivating true friendships and strong family ties is an important way to find happiness. When we have friends who understand and support us or close family ties, it makes us feel complete. It is also crucial that we continue to learn and develop. Seeking new knowledge, practicing skills, and trying new things helps us live a richer, more meaningful life. Within the existentialist perspective, understanding that achievement is not something that simply happens, but rather a continuous journey, is fundamental. It is shaped by our sincere choices, our genuine passions, and our contributions to the well-being of all. This shows us that true success lies in being authentic and seeking meaning in everything we do. Following this path allows us to create a life full of unique experiences, which is the heart of true fulfillment. Both Sartre and Camus teach us that the purpose of life arises from our actions and attitudes. Instead of trying to please others, we should be true to ourselves. It reminds us that we are not just spectators in life, but active participants. This shift in perspective can help us grow and find more happiness, as we don't allow others' opinions of us to define us, but instead act in accordance with who we truly are. Let's simplify it even further. Success is not about having a full bank account or an army of followers on social media. It's about doing what you love with honesty and passion. Imagine that success is like a plant. You water it with your own energy, care for it with care, and watch it flourish. When you dedicate yourself to what really matters to you, you become more complete, more fulfilled. It's as if you are nurturing your own essence rather than seeking external validation. Imagine yourself as a gardener of your own happiness, planting seeds of authenticity and watering them with your daily choices and actions. As these seeds grow into beautiful flowers, you reap not only the fruits of your labor, but also a deep and lasting sense of fulfillment. Success, then, is not measured by external metrics, but rather by the internal gratification of living a life aligned with your values and passions. Furthermore, when we look at the meaningless things in life and accept them, as Camus suggests, we discover a source of deep satisfaction. This means we don't see challenges, setbacks, and difficult moments as problems on a path that should be easy. Instead, we understand that they are an important part of our journey, valuable opportunities to learn and grow, reaffirming our choices along the way. Thus, a problem or failure is no longer an obstacle to being happy, but an integral and enriching part of our story. Each challenge becomes a unique chance to learn, grow, and move forward with more determination and understanding. Imagine yourself as an intrepid navigator on a sea of challenges, navigating life's turbulent waters with courage and resilience. Every storm faced, every wave overcome, is not only a testament to your strength, but also an opportunity to hone your skills and strengthen your resolve. Just as a skilled captain guides his ship through uncharted waters, you navigate the complexity of existence with confidence and conviction. Existentialist philosophy gives us a powerful way to understand how we seek meaning and satisfaction in life. Instead of giving us ready-made answers, it helps us deal with the complexity of existence. It encourages us to make conscious choices, take responsibility for them, and create our own meaning and satisfaction in life. This approach remains relevant today, offering clarity and guidance in an increasingly complicated and uncertain world. It invites us to explore the meaning of life in an authentic and personal way. The ideas of Sartre and Camus invite us on a deep journey of reflection on our own lives, challenging us to question our perceptions and actions. By delving into these philosophies, we are led to reconsider what we think we know and to take action to forge our own purpose and satisfaction. When you reach the end of this journey, reader, I want to encourage you to take these ideas with you, to ponder them, to debate them, and to view your existence through the lens of existentialism. Remember that your identity is not determined by external factors or predefined essences. You have the power to carve your own narrative, assign meaning to it, define your purpose, and pursue happiness in an often tumultuous and unpredictable world. The existential vision reminds us that we are the authors of our own history. So when you return from the world of Sartre and Camus to your own reality, do so with a new sense of control, authenticity, and determination to live deeply, meaningfully, and truthfully. Now imagine holding an ancient manual full of timeless wisdom, a hidden treasure that offers guidance amid the frenzy of the modern world. That manual is Stoicism. Although it was formulated more than 2,000 years ago, its lessons remain as vital as they ever were, serving as a source of clarity and strength amid the confusion and complexity of the 21st century. Stoicism is not just a set of old-fashioned precepts, it is a practical guide to cultivating inner serenity, resilience, and mental clarity amid the storms of everyday life. In a world where we are constantly distracted and pressured, Stoicism offers a refuge, a path to finding inner peace and direction regardless of the turbulence we face. Imagine yourself sailing through a vast ocean of uncertainty, where every wave threatens to divert you from your desired course. It is in this scenario of turmoil that Stoicism emerges as a bright beacon, guiding you towards serenity and inner balance. This ancient philosophy is not just a consolation, it also serves as a practical manual for navigating the ups and downs of modern life. As we explore Stoic teachings, we discover a veritable treasure trove of wisdom, as relevant today as it was in Seneca's time. These teachings remind us of something fundamental: the importance of focusing our efforts on what is within our control and of calmly accepting what we cannot change. Seneca was not just a distant philosopher. He was a man deeply engaged in the political and social issues of his time, which makes his words even more impactful and relevant for us today. Seneca's influence resonates through the centuries, inspiring not only philosophers and intellectuals, but also leaders and ordinary people seeking guidance. After all, who has never felt lost amidst the storms of life, yearning for a safe haven where to find peace and clarity? Seneca invites us to delve into the depths of our own soul, to face challenges bravely, and to embrace the journey with wisdom and discernment. Within the vastness of Seneca's writings, there is one work that stands out as a precious jewel: Letters of a Stoic. In this book, Seneca not only shares wisdom, but also creates an intimate bond with his friend Lucilius, as if he were sitting next to him, sharing experiences and reflections on life. These 124 letters are not mere words scattered in the wind. They are a timeless legacy of guidance to face the challenges and vicissitudes of existence. Imagine unfolding these letters, feeling the weight of each word, and absorbing the essence of the wisdom contained within. Seneca leads us along a winding path, filled with practical advice and profound insights, offering us a guide for navigating the turbulent waters of the human experience. He teaches us that true strength lies in the ability to face adversity with equanimity and resilience, and that kindness is a powerful weapon in an often cruel world. As we absorb Seneca's lessons, we realize that his words echo through the centuries, finding echoes in our own struggles and triumphs. His advice resonates not just as abstract ideas, but as practical compasses for everyday life. They remind us that although the world has changed since Seneca's day, the fundamental challenges of human existence remain the same, and the search for wisdom and balance remains a universal journey. In a world where we are constantly bombarded by a multitude of stimuli, the Stoic teaching of focusing on what we can control shines as a guiding light. This teaching helps us to direct our energies towards our own actions and reactions, instead of worrying excessively about what is happening around us. This can not only make us more effective, but also bring us calm and inner peace, serving as a valuable compass to guide us in today's challenging life. We are often led to believe that success is all about accumulating wealth and gaining popularity. However, Seneca's letters reveal to us a profound truth. True wealth and happiness emanate from goodness and knowledge. These teachings challenge us to rethink what really matters to achieve happiness, inspiring us to seek personal growth, to live a life imbued with moral values, and to cultivate meaningful relationships that bring us a genuine and lasting sense of fulfillment. Furthermore, Seneca's heartfelt words about life and death are like a refreshing breath in a world that often avoids addressing this delicate subject. His ideas encourage us to contemplate our own mortality, which encourages us to value the time we have, to savor each moment and to make the most of our existences, which are fleeting. It's also crucial to remember that Seneca taught us how to deal with our emotions, such as anger, fear, worry, and sadness. His teachings on how to cultivate emotional resilience, discipline, and logical thinking can be extremely useful in preserving the health of our mind. The teachings we're about to explore transcend the ages, offering us not just abstract concepts, but also tangible tools for meeting the challenges of modern life. They are like a reliable compass in a sea of uncertainty, guiding us with wisdom and courage through storms and calm waters. Imagine yourself embarking on a journey across the vast ocean of life, where each wave brings with it challenges and opportunities. In these tumultuous seas, Seneca's words resonate like the comforting sound of a distant lighthouse, guiding us through the darkness of uncertainty. In one of his letters, Seneca presents us with timeless wisdom. Fire tries gold, adversity, strong people. This poetic metaphor vividly illustrates how Seneca viewed difficult times. Just as fire purifies gold, the challenges we face in life not only test us, but also strengthen us. This statement does not encourage us to deliberately seek difficulties, but it encourages us to change our perspective on problems, finding within ourselves the strength and resilience necessary to overcome them. As we reflect on these words, we are invited to look at adversity not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and self-discovery. Seneca's wisdom reminds us that just as gold is refined by fire, we are shaped and strengthened by the difficulties we face. This change in mentality enables us to face challenges with courage and determination, transforming moments of crisis into opportunities for personal development and spiritual growth. How can we use these ideas in our lives today? We can look to the global pandemic as an example. For many people, this was a very difficult time, with many health problems, money problems, and a feeling of not knowing what will happen. But we can also see this as a test, something that challenged us to be strong, creative, and adapt. Imagine the pandemic as a large, choppy ocean with unpredictable waves threatening our stability. As we navigate these turbulent waters, we are faced with challenges that test our resilience and adaptability. However, just as gold becomes stronger when it passes through fire, people, when facing these problems, have the chance to become stronger, more capable of dealing with difficulties. This way of thinking, inspired by Seneca's philosophy, shows us that even in difficult times we can learn and grow. Personally, facing problems can mean losing your job, ending a relationship, or having health problems. All of these situations are difficult, but they also give us the chance to learn and grow. People discovered how to work from home. Companies started using the internet more. Communities came together to help each other, and healthcare systems found new ways to fight disease. As we face these personal challenges, we discover our own capacity for adaptation and innovation. In moments of crisis, we find resources within ourselves that we may never have known we had. Just as the heat of a fire molds gold into something stronger and more resilient, our difficult experiences shape our resilience and determination. These lessons empower us to embrace life's challenges with courage and confidence, knowing that each obstacle is an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Losing your job can provide an opportunity to find a better job or even start your own business. The end of a relationship can be a chance to understand more about yourself and make positive changes. A health problem can make us realize the importance of taking care of ourselves and making healthier choices. The Stoic way of facing difficulties does not mean ignoring pain. On the contrary, it suggests that we should recognize and accept pain as something real, using it as an opportunity to grow and change. Stoic philosophy reminds us that while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we react. Dealing with difficult times may not be easy, but Seneca's teachings show us how to view challenges as opportunities to learn and evolve. So how can we integrate Seneca's teachings into our daily routine? A practical way is to practice mindfulness, which involves being completely present in the present moment. Whether at work, spending time with family, or during quiet moments, try to be fully immersed in the experience, leaving distractions aside. Not only does this allow you to appreciate every moment more deeply, but it can also improve your concentration, productivity, and overall well-being. Following these principles can be a significant step towards facing life with more strength and awareness. Another important point is to check your daily routines and the activities you do regularly. Are you dedicating time to things that are not really necessary or that do not bring you happiness? Would it be possible to pass these tasks on to other people, eliminate them, or simplify them to have more time to do what really matters to you? It is essential to remember that every minute spent on something unimportant is a minute you fail to invest in something significant. By taking a more mindful and intentional approach to your actions and your time, you become the master of your own journey. This not only increases your efficiency and personal satisfaction, but also allows you to live a life more aligned with your deepest values and purpose. Thus, by applying Seneca's teachings in your daily life, you prepare yourself to face challenges with more clarity, courage, and determination. Additionally, as a third suggestion, it is important to cultivate a sense of gratitude for the time we have, rather than worrying about how quickly time passes. Instead of just worrying about the speed of time, it's crucial to recognize the value of each day, each hour, and even each breath. Make sure your life is not just a search for the future. While it's important to set goals and work towards them, don't forget to appreciate the path to those goals. After all, life is happening right now in the present. Seneca's reflection on the brevity of life serves as a powerful reminder to not waste time or delay our happiness, but to live fully in the present. It is a crucial reminder that life is fleeting and deserves to be valued in its entirety. These practices, inspired by Stoic teachings, can help us find a healthier balance between planning for the future and appreciating the present. By adopting a grateful and mindful perspective, we can build a solid foundation for a more meaningful and fulfilled life where every moment is truly valued. Experiencing gratitude every day reminds us of the small joys and blessings we find in our lives, even when we face difficult times. It can be as simple as appreciating the bright sunshine, a kind gesture from a stranger, or a warm hug from someone we love. Cultivating this habit of gratitude not only makes us happier, it also strengthens our bonds with others and connects us more deeply with the world around us. Seneca wrote a lot about life and philosophy, but he always emphasized the value of human relationships. He deeply understood the importance of connection between people, and his ideas about friendship remain relevant today. For example, he said, "One of the most beautiful things in true friendship is to understand and be understood." This simple yet profound phrase teaches us a lot about what friendship is and why it is so meaningful. Basically, it tells us that empathy is essential in any friendship or relationship. Understanding and being understood means having a deep understanding of each other, being willing to listen and share, seeing the world through the other's eyes and allowing them to see ours. How does this apply to our lives today? The basis of a meaningful relationship is empathy, understanding the joys, sorrows, aspirations, and fears of the other, and most importantly, offering support and compassion at all times. It's crucial to maintain these deep connections in a world where we are increasingly digitally connected, but often feel emotionally distant. This means making time for these relationships, even when we are busy, whether through heart-to-heart conversations, support in difficult times, or simply sharing moments of joy and laughter. Seneca's wisdom leads us to think about the friends we have. Do they really understand and support us, or are they just superficial acquaintances? Are we maintaining friendships that make us feel good, or are we surrounded by people who understand us and help us grow? Remember that what really matters are true friendships, not just having lots of them. Furthermore, Seneca's quote tells us to not only be understood, but also to understand others. This means we must be good listeners, have compassion, and try to understand people without judgment. We must try to see things from their point of view, understand their feelings and experiences. This means developing empathy and letting it guide us when dealing with others. In a world where misunderstandings often cause conflict, this understanding is essential. Seneca's wisdom shows us how understanding and being understood are fundamental to any true friendship. Seneca, in one of his most impactful reflections, highlights how harmful anger can be, stating that nothing is so foolish as anger, nothing is more likely to feed on itself. This wisdom makes us reflect on how crucial it is to control our emotions, especially anger, which can generate a cascade of problems. Imagine anger as a burning flame within us, ready to consume everything in its path if not contained. Seneca warns us about the dangers of this emotion, drawing our attention to the devastating effects it can have on our lives. He invites us to think of anger not just as a momentary reaction, but as a destructive force that can erode our physical and emotional well-being and harm our relationships. In warning us about the dangers of succumbing to anger, Seneca points to it as a selfish, self-fueled emotion that can lead us to impulsive actions that we later regret. In a world where stress and conflict are common, how can we apply this knowledge to better manage our anger? One suggestion from Seneca is to recognize that anger harms us more than those we are angry with. This awareness helps us separate emotion and examine it more rationally. To deal with anger constructively, we can learn to identify the triggers that trigger it and develop techniques to calm our emotions. This can include practices like deep breathing, meditation, physical exercise, or simply taking time to ourselves before reacting. By practicing self-control and reflection, we can avoid impulsive reactions and find more balanced ways of dealing with stressful situations. As we internalize these teachings, we transform anger as a powerful enemy into a challenge to be overcome. Instead of letting ourselves be carried away by the current of emotion, we learn to master it and use it as a boost for personal growth. Thus, Seneca's wisdom becomes not just a distant philosophy, but a beacon of guidance on our individual journeys of self-improvement and self-discovery. Knowing ourselves is very important. We must find out why we get so angry and notice the signals that our body and mind give us when we get angry. This personal reflection helps us take action before anger gets out of control. Following the teachings of the Stoics, who valued reason and logic, Seneca advises us to use reason to calm the mind when we are angry. Questions like, "Is my reaction right to this situation?" and "How can I respond better?" can help us act more positively. In addition to relaxation techniques, such as going for a walk, breathing deeply, or trying to relax your body's muscles, can help calm both your mind and body, providing a much-needed break in moments of tension. Finally, according to the Stoic perspective, we must remember that we can only control how we react to the actions of others. If someone's actions anger us, we can choose not to get angry, but to respond with understanding, or, if necessary, with firmness. By following Seneca's teachings, we can avoid the harmful cycle of anger and instead develop mental peace and emotional resilience. Dealing with anger does not mean hiding our feelings, but rather facing them in a healthier and more constructive way. Seneca encourages us to see anger as an emotion that is harmful to ourselves and offers us tools to deal with it. It's a lesson in how to turn anger into something positive. Serenity, which is a central concept in Stoicism and the teachings of Seneca, means acting with reason. This shows Stoicism's deep commitment to moral integrity. But what does Seneca mean by virtue and acting reasonably? And how can we use these principles in our lives? Seneca, like other Stoic philosophers, saw virtue as the most important thing, more than wealth, fame, pleasure, and even life itself. According to him, a good person acts using reason and knowledge, treating others fairly, facing problems courageously, maintaining control over himself when tempted, and showing wisdom in all aspects of life. So, how can we practice this concept of right thinking in our daily lives? First, we can be virtuous by using wisdom and rationality to guide our actions. This means making choices that not only benefit us, but are also ethical and fair. It involves always seeking to learn and understand, being open to different points of view, and using critical thinking to deal with the challenges we face. A practical way to apply the right thinking is to practice empathy and compassion. By considering the feelings and needs of others, we can make more informed and ethical decisions. This not only strengthens our relationships, but also contributes to a more harmonious and fair environment around us. Additionally, we can adopt the habit of reflecting on ourselves regularly. This allows us to analyze our own actions, motivations, and thought patterns. By doing so, we can identify areas where we can improve and take steps to cultivate more integrity and wisdom in our daily choices and behaviors. By practicing these principles, we not only strengthen our own virtue, but we also contribute to a more compassionate, just, and harmonious world. Every small action based on right reason can have a lasting positive impact on ourselves and those around us. Imagine each virtuous act as a pebble thrown into a calm lake, creating ripples that extend beyond where the pebble landed. Likewise, our ethical actions can have a ripple effect, positively influencing the environment around us and inspiring others to follow the same path of kindness and righteousness. Furthermore, Seneca guides us to think deeply about our actions and behaviors. He makes us question whether we are acting in accordance with the virtues we want to cultivate. Do we show integrity, even when no one is watching us? Do we choose to do what is right and fair, even when the alternative seems easier or more advantageous? Regularly stopping to reflect on our actions can help us ensure we are following a path that aligns with our moral values, living in accordance with virtue. Furthermore, Seneca highlights that the development of virtue goes beyond just thinking about oneself. He encourages us to practice empathy and compassion. This means recognizing the unique value in each person and treating them with kindness and respect. Fighting injustice, helping those in difficulty, and contributing positively to our communities are important parts of this virtuous path. By following Seneca's teachings, we not only seek to improve our own character, but also contribute to a more compassionate and ethical world around us. Lastly, to live in accordance with what is right, we need to learn to deal with problems and remain calm. Even if life presents difficulties, a good person faces these problems with courage and calm, without allowing bad things to affect their values. Each challenge overcome with integrity strengthens our character and brings us closer to a life lived in harmony with our highest principles. Imagine yourself in a challenging situation. Perhaps you have faced a financial crisis, a challenge at work, or a personal difficulty. Instead of giving in to despair or acting impulsively, following Seneca's teachings means facing these obstacles with serenity and courage. It's like finding calm in the eye of the storm, holding firm to your principles even when things around you seem out of control. As we apply these principles to our everyday lives, we are bringing Seneca's teachings to life. We can live in accordance with goodness and what is right, experiencing a sense of happiness and peace that goes beyond happy moments or external achievements. Seneca's focus on kindness reminds us how important it is to be honest in a world where people often only think about money. His lessons motivate us to value kindness, strive to be morally excellent, and live according to our most important values, even in the face of the challenges of modern life. May Seneca's wisdom guide us to a life of kindness, a life based on what is right, and a life that represents the best we can be. Living according to Seneca's teachings not only helps us face adversity with serenity and courage, but also allows us to find a true sense of purpose and inner peace. By holding our values and principles in high esteem, even in difficult times, we build a solid foundation for a meaningful and fulfilling life. May Seneca's Stoic wisdom continue to inspire us on our journey toward virtue and well-being. Seneca, despite having money, had a different view of what brings true happiness. He did not agree with the common idea that having a lot of wealth means being happy. For him, being virtuous and wise were the most important things in finding happiness. He expressed this profoundly by saying, "No one is more unhappy than he who never faces challenges, for he does not get the chance to prove himself." This phrase, full of meaning, makes us rethink what really makes us happy, how we see money, and the role that challenges play in our lives. At first glance, it may seem strange to think that having problems can bring happiness. After all, don't we all want an easy life without difficulties? However, Seneca means that a life without challenges leaves us sad and dissatisfied. What did he mean by that? He reminds us that it is in moments of adversity that we have the opportunity to grow, to test our inner strength, and to overcome ourselves. Just as a blacksmith forges steel in the intense heat of a furnace, we are shaped and refined by the hardships we face. These challenges force us to seek solutions, develop our resilience, and discover our ability to adapt. Therefore, instead of fearing challenges, we must see them as opportunities to grow and evolve as human beings. Seneca's philosophy teaches that facing challenges is like a magical opportunity to learn and grow as a person. Without facing difficulties, we cannot discover how strong we are and what we are capable of doing. It's when we overcome problems that we truly understand who we are and what we are capable of. This process of getting to know ourselves better, of growing, overcoming obstacles, is what brings true happiness. So the next time you face a challenge, remember Seneca's words and see it as a chance to grow and become stronger. Instead of being afraid of challenges, embrace them as an opportunity to have a more meaningful and fulfilling life. On the other hand, seeking only wealth often prevents us from knowing ourselves better. Having money can bring comfort and security, but it can also make us lazy, extravagant, and make us think we deserve everything. When we have too much wealth, we miss the opportunity to discover our courage, learn new things, grow, and show how valuable we are. How can we use Seneca's valuable lessons to rethink what it means to be rich and happy today? Firstly, the philosopher's wisdom encourages us to face difficult times rather than avoid them. When we face a problem, we can see it as an opportunity to grow and learn. This suggests adopting a strong mindset, where challenges are seen as chances to become better. Furthermore, Seneca reminds us that true wealth is not just in material possessions, but in our character and wisdom. Instead of measuring our happiness by money, we can seek internal riches such as kindness, compassion, and honesty. These values are lasting and provide us with a sense of fulfillment far deeper than any amount of money. So, instead of just seeking material wealth, we can seek a balance between financial prosperity and personal growth. Cultivating meaningful relationships, seeking self-knowledge, and contributing to the well-being of others are ways to enrich our lives in a more meaningful and satisfying way. Furthermore, Seneca invites us to rethink what it means to be rich and happy. For him, true wealth is not just having a lot of things, but being good and enjoying life to the fullest. Therefore, when we think about what it means to be rich, we must consider not only money but also being a fair, courageous, and wise person. Second, Seneca tells us that it is important to be authentic and do what is right, even when no one is watching. Therefore, when considering what makes us happy, we must think about living in accordance with our values, being honest and sincere in everything we do. Finally, as we learn from Seneca about wealth and happiness, we realize that there is more to it than just having good things and happy moments. They include a journey within ourselves, where we find the strength to face challenges, act with integrity, and understand the true meaning of being rich and happy. This new way of thinking gives us deeper, more meaningful insight into how to live a full, satisfying life. Secondly, it is important to balance the desire for money with the cultivation of virtue and wisdom. This is not to say that we should completely ignore the importance of money, but to ensure that our pursuit of material wealth does not harm our moral and personal growth. Imagine money as a powerful tool. When used wisely and sparingly, it can open doors and provide comfort. However, if pursued in an unrestrained and obsessive way, it can become a source of corruption and imbalance in our lives. Seneca invites us to reflect on how to balance our financial aspirations with our ethical values, ensuring that our pursuit of prosperity does not divert us from the path of integrity and kindness. It's like finding the balance between the need for sustenance and the search for a meaningful life. Seneca reminds us that money alone cannot buy true happiness. It encourages us to consider how our financial ambitions align with our values and ethical principles. This way, we can pursue material success without compromising our moral integrity. Furthermore, Seneca emphasizes that true wealth goes beyond the possession of material things. It involves cultivating an inner wealth built on virtue, wisdom, resilience, and self-realization. In other words, the richest person is not the one with the most possessions, but the one who has developed a solid character and found inner peace. Imagine yourself building an inner fortress made of solid values and unshakable principles. This fortress is not built with bricks and mortar, but with every act of kindness, every moment of self-discovery, and every challenge overcome with courage and integrity. This notion of inner wealth leads us to rethink our priorities and value more intangible aspects of life, such as meaningful relationships, mental health, and emotional well-being. Instead of frantically pursuing the accumulation of material goods, we can direct our energy toward developing inner qualities that enrich us in deeper, more lasting ways. Finally, Seneca's teachings lead us to better understand what happiness is. Being happy does not mean the absence of problems. It's about finding contentment and growth, even in the midst of challenges. This includes accepting all moments in life, whether good or bad, and finding joy in the journey of self-discovery. True happiness, as Seneca teaches us, is not something we can acquire externally. It is an inner journey of self-discovery and personal growth. By integrating these teachings into our lives, we can become more aware, compassionate, and satisfied, regardless of external circumstances. Seneca's perspective on the connection between wealth and happiness offers us a different way of thinking compared to the common idea that having a lot of things makes us happy. He invites us to rethink the concept of wealth, suggesting that true happiness does not lie in material possessions, but in the inner qualities that we cultivate throughout life. Imagine wealth not as a safe full of gold coins, but as a carefully cultivated garden, filled with flowers of virtue, fruits of wisdom, and trees of resilience. By valuing the true riches of life, such as wisdom, virtue, emotional strength, and personal fulfillment, we make room for deeper and more lasting happiness. Instead of endlessly pursuing the accumulation of material possessions, Seneca encourages us to invest in our personal growth by honing our skills, cultivating meaningful relationships, and seeking purpose and meaning in our lives. We must take Seneca's advice into consideration and seek a balance between the material and internal aspects of life. This means not only seeking to avoid problems to be happy, but also finding joy in the ability to deal with them with grace, strength, and wisdom. Imagine yourself sailing through the waters of life, not in a ship weighed down with material treasures, but rather in a light boat, carrying with you knowledge, compassion, and courage as your greatest treasures. As we embrace this perspective, we discover that true wealth lies not just in what we possess, but in who we become. A central tenet of Stoicism is living in accordance with nature, something Seneca powerfully expresses when he says, "God is near you, He is with you, He is within you." To fully understand the meaning of this statement, it is important to explore more deeply the Stoic perspective on God and nature. Within Stoicism, God is often associated with nature or the universe, being the rational principle that governs the world. Therefore, Seneca's quote suggests that we all carry a divine spark within us, the universal reason or logos. Thus, living in harmony with nature means aligning yourself with this intrinsic rationality and the natural laws of the world. First, it is crucial to recognize the valuable gift of reason that each of us possesses. As an integral part of nature, we have been gifted with the singular ability to reason, a gift that makes us unique. Imagine reason as an inner light, illuminating the path before us, guiding our choices and actions with clarity and discernment. This extraordinary ability allows us to think, understand, and align our actions with the natural order of things. Therefore, living in harmony with nature involves using our reasoning faculty to make thoughtful choices, discern between what is morally right and wrong, and face life's challenges consciously. Imagine yourself as a skilled navigator, using the compass of reason to chart your course through the turbulent waters of existence. As we honor and cultivate this divine spark within us, we come closer to a deeper understanding of our connection to the universe and our role within it. When we understand this concept better, we realize that reason is not just something to think about, but also a compass that helps us decide what is right and wrong. Imagine reason as a wise voice within us, always present to advise us at life's crossroads. When learning to make smart choices, we think not only about what will happen now, but also about the consequences in the future. Thus, living in accordance with nature, as Seneca suggests, means always trying to be better at thinking, using our reason as a moral guide to help us in life. We can think of reason as a light that illuminates the path before us, helping us navigate the challenges and dilemmas of existence. It offers us clarity and discernment, allowing us to evaluate situations objectively and make decisions that are aligned with our values and principles. Therefore, As we become more adept at using our reason, we also become more capable of facing adversity with wisdom and integrity. Furthermore, the relationship between reason and the natural order shows that we must understand our role as an important part of the world. When we use our reason consciously, we help maintain natural balance. Every decision, thought, and action we take based on reason not only helps us, but also contributes to the harmony of the world around us. Imagine yourself as a vital cog in a complex machine, where every movement, however small, plays a crucial role in the smooth operation of the whole. Imagine reason as a fundamental piece in the great puzzle of the universe. By acting in accordance with logic and the wisdom it provides us, we add a valuable piece to the cosmic order. In this way, we become active agents in preserving and enhancing the beauty and stability of the world in which we live. Living in harmony with nature, guided by reason, is a journey of self-knowledge and moral improvement. By exploring the power of reason within us, we begin to better understand how the world works, which allows us to live a more meaningful life in accordance with the principles of the universe. This journey not only enriches us individually, but also contributes to collective well-being and the balance of the cosmos. Furthermore, Seneca's lessons teach us to accept how things naturally happen in the world. Just as nature follows its cycles of birth, growth, weakening, and death, our lives also go through these same stages. By understanding and accepting this reality, we learn to deal with the ups and downs of life, finding peace in the idea that everything is temporary and valuing the present. Living in harmony with nature also means recognizing that we are all connected, whether with other people or the world around us. Just as natural elements coexist in balance, we are part of a larger community that includes other humans, other creatures, and the environment. Therefore, living in accordance with nature involves building healthy relationships, contributing positively to our communities, and treating the environment with care and respect. Lastly, Seneca's words remind us of the divine presence within each of us, which is the essence of who we truly are. By acting in accordance with our rational nature and universal principles, we honor this inner divinity and live a life characterized by integrity, virtue, and inner tranquility. Imagine yourself as an essential piece in the great symphony of the universe, contributing your unique melody to the cosmic harmony. In Seneca's writings, he not only bequeathed to us a set of ideas, but also a timeless philosophy of life that invites us to explore the deepest corners of our existence. Among his reflections, Seneca highlighted the importance of self-discipline as a fundamental foundation for a full and fulfilled life. His famous phrase, "It is not the man who has very little, but the man who craves more who is poor," resonates like a timeless echo, echoing for centuries to remind us of the essence of true wealth. To fully understand this statement, it is necessary to delve into the intricacies of our own being and confront the impulses that drive us towards insatiable desires. Wanting more does not merely refer to the search for tangible objects, but rather to desires that transcend the limits of the reasonable, feeding on perennial dissatisfaction and the incessant search for momentary gratifications. The absence of self-discipline throws us into a vicious cycle of unbridled aspirations, where contentment becomes an unattainable mirage on the distant horizon of lasting satisfaction. The practice of self-discipline requires constant introspection, a thorough examination of our underlying desires and motivations. By plumbing the depths of our desires, we are able to discern between genuine drives and the fleeting whims of the ego. This process of self-knowledge allows us to evaluate whether our desires are aligned with our highest values and principles, or whether they are merely manifestations of an insatiable desire for more. Imagine our desires as seeds planted in our mental garden, the cultivation of which requires diligent care and attention. If neglected, these seeds can grow out of control, suffocating the delicate buds of virtue and genuine contentment. Taking on the role of gardener of our mind requires constant vigilance, a willingness to prune the weeds of unbridled desire and nurture the promising shoots of authenticity and inner serenity. This journey of self-discipline is not a one-off undertaking, but rather an ongoing and iterative practice that permeates all aspects of our existence. It is an unwavering commitment to always be attentive to our own desires, to endlessly question their legitimacy, and to act in accordance with a higher vision of who we want to be. It is through this constant process of self-examination and improvement that we can truly follow the path of self-discipline and, consequently, true inner fulfillment. Imagine self-discipline as a daily practice for the mind and heart, as essential as brushing your teeth every morning to maintain oral health. Just as we dedicate time to physical hygiene, we should also set aside moments daily to nourish our mental and emotional health. This constant routine offers us a safe haven, an anchor of balance and clarity amid the tumult of everyday life. Taking control of our desires is not an easy task, but it is fundamental to living a life of meaning and authenticity. This involves setting healthy boundaries, cultivating habits that promote well-being, and being open to seeking support when needed. The goal is not to eliminate desires, but to learn to direct them so that they are aligned with our deepest values and our vision of a fulfilling life. We can view this journey as taking the wheel of our own destiny, rather than being mere passengers in a runaway car. By adopting practices that strengthen our self-discipline, we become the active builders of our lives, shaping our path based on wisdom, compassion, and authenticity. After all, true wealth lies not in the quantity of things we possess, but in the quality of our connection with what we already have. In this context, Seneca's teachings about self-discipline and contentment gain new light. They invite us to rethink our relationship with desires and to value simplicity in a world obsessed with the accumulation of material goods. Controlling our desires does not mean depriving ourselves of pleasure, but rather finding joy in moderation and gratitude for what is already present in our lives. As for death, Seneca and the Stoics offer a singularly serene perspective. Instead of fearing her as an implacable enemy, they see her as an inevitable companion on our earthly journey. Accepting mortality calmly and serenely is not denying the importance of life, but rather embracing its ephemerality as an intrinsic part of the human experience. This acceptance frees us from the burden of fear and allows us to embrace each moment with a deep appreciation for the preciousness of existence. Seneca's view of death invites us to reconsider our relationship with this inevitable aspect of human existence. In contrast to the typical association of death with fear and despair, Seneca encourages us to embrace it as a natural part of the cycle of life. Accepting this concept does not imply passive resignation, but rather recognizing that excessive focus on concern for the end can obscure our ability to find happiness in the present. By integrating an understanding of death into our journey, we are encouraged to live more fully in the present moment. Instead of being anxious about the future, we can direct our energy to value the experiences and relationships that enrich our lives now. This shift in perspective invites us to explore more deeply who we are, recognizing the ephemerality of life, but also celebrating the moments of beauty and meaning it provides us. Thus, by adopting the Stoic view of death proposed by Seneca, we not only alter our perception of this inevitable event, but we also learn to live in a more authentic and meaningful way. Accepting death with serenity is not limited to a philosophical abstraction, but rather a daily practice of gratitude for the present, enriching our lives with true inner richness. Therefore, Seneca's words not only offer us a reflection on the finiteness of life, they invite us to embrace the fullness of each moment, finding joy in the small, everyday wonders. To better understand the meaning behind Seneca's words, it is essential to explore the Stoic concept of amor fati, that is, love and acceptance of one's destiny. Within this philosophy, we are encouraged to embrace all facets of existence, including its inevitable outcome. The Stoics remind us that both birth and death are intrinsic parts of the life cycle, elements that we should welcome with open arms rather than fear. In this context, Seneca's quote reflects an attitude of serene resignation in the face of mortality, portraying death not as a terrifying event, but as a well-deserved rest after the challenges and afflictions of the earthly journey. By internalizing the concept of amor fati, we are invited to adopt a new perspective regarding the finiteness of life. Instead of facing it with apprehension and anguish, we learn to accept it as a natural part of the existential flow, valuing each moment as a precious gift. Just as the seasons of the year follow one another cyclically, death presents itself as the final act of this life cycle, a transition point beyond earthly tribulations and concerns. Therefore, When we turn to Stoic philosophy and come across Seneca's words, we are impelled to reflect on our own relationship with death. Far from being a dark and frightening event, it reveals itself as an integral part of the human experience, an inevitable fate that we can learn to accept with serenity and gratitude. In this sense, the Stoic vision offers us not only consolation in the face of finitude, but also a new way of looking at life, seeing in each moment an opportunity to live fully and find meaning in existence. This way of looking at life is not born from sadness or a lack of appreciation for what we experience, but rather from a deep understanding of the transience of all experiences, including the most challenging moments. Death is seen as the natural outcome of this flow of experiences. This perspective radically alters our approach to existence. It drives us to live each day with intensity, aware that our journey will have an end, which, paradoxically, gives greater value and meaning to our experiences. Seneca teaches us that we should not face death with fear, as it is not a tragedy but rather an inescapable and natural outcome of life. By accepting this reality, we can free ourselves from the bonds of fear and embrace freedom and courage. This acceptance also encourages us to realize the preciousness of each present moment, inspiring us to live them fully and wisely. Seneca's lessons on death urge us to contemplate our own finitude from time to time. This mental exercise helps us to deal with everyday challenges in a more balanced way, to value the simple aspects of life and to discern what is truly essential for our journey. It is a paradigm shift that leads us to understand that death is not the end, but rather a crucial piece of the puzzle of existence. Facing life and understanding death does not imply fear, but understanding, not in avoiding, but in being aware. It is an invitation to free ourselves from the fear of death and embrace life in a more complete, courageous, and meaningful way. Seneca's wise view of death transcends common conceptions that it is something frightening and final. His words invite us to rethink our relationship with death, proposing a perspective that sees it as an integral and expected part of the human journey. Far from being the final ending, Seneca encourages us to contemplate death as a well-deserved rest after facing life's challenges, a return to the serenity that precedes our birth. Seneca's unique approach is not limited to offering a philosophy about the end of life. She challenges us to reconsider our attitude towards death, inviting us to face it with the same serenity, acceptance, and understanding that we apply to living moments. This change in perspective does not diminish the importance of life, but rather expands our understanding of the natural cycle of existence. When we reflect on Seneca's words, we realize that they not only comfort us in relation to the inevitable, but also offer us a guide to live more fully in the present. By accepting death as an intrinsic part of existence, we are encouraged to embrace each moment with joy and purpose. This does not imply belittling life or its pleasures, but rather understanding that impermanence is what gives our journey its peculiar preciousness. Seneca's perspective on mortality does not lead us to devalue life or renounce what is good about it, but rather to embrace change as an inherent part of the human experience. By accepting that everything in life is temporary, we are motivated to live in a more authentic and meaningful way, seeking contentment not in the incessant search for fleeting pleasures, but in appreciating the present moment and building truly enriching relationships and experiences. Imagine life as one big journey, full of stunning landscapes and surprises along the way. Just like a journey, death is not the end of the road, but just a marked stop on the itinerary of existence. Instead of fearing it as a dark and unknown fate, we can embrace it as a natural and inevitable part of the cycle of life. Just as the seasons of the year follow one another, bringing with them their own beauties and challenges, our lives also follow this rhythm of transformations from birth to decline. Accepting the finiteness of life is not surrendering to destiny, but making the most of every part of this journey while we are still on it. When we understand that our passage in this world is limited, we are encouraged to value the time we have more, to nurture relationships that nourish us emotionally, to pursue our goals with fervor, and to find meaning in each experience we live. This way of looking at life reminds us that it's not the amount of time we have that matters, but how we choose to fill it. Instead of worrying excessively about the future or lamenting the past, we are challenged to keep our attention in the present, where the magic of life unfolds before us. It is in the here and now that we have the chance to build unforgettable memories, to strengthen bonds with those we love, and to leave our mark on the world with acts of kindness and generosity. Therefore, instead of allowing the fear of death to paralyze us, we can transform this awareness into an invitation to live with more intensity and authenticity. Each day becomes a precious gift, an opportunity to express gratitude for life and to make choices that are aligned with our deepest values. Thus, by facing mortality as an inevitable companion on the journey, we find the freedom to live without reservation and with a heart full of meaning and love. When we internalize Seneca's perspective, we discover that death ceases to be a terrifying specter and reveals itself as a natural and inevitable piece of the puzzle of human existence. His reflections not only comfort us in moments of uncertainty, but also enlighten us on how to live a truly full life full of meaning, welcoming with serenity all the experiences that cross our path. Seeing death through Seneca's eyes allows us to remove the veil of fear that often surrounds it and understand it as an integral part of life's journey. It's not just about accepting the inevitable, but also about recognizing mortality as a constant reminder of the ephemerality and preciousness of each moment we live. By adopting this more compassionate and open view of death, we are encouraged to live more authentically and consciously, valuing each experience and relationship as if they were fleeting treasures that we should appreciate while they are within our reach. It's not just about facing the inevitable with courage, but also about finding beauty and purpose in every moment, regardless of the circumstances that present themselves. In this way, by integrating Seneca's lessons about death into our personal journey, we transform not only our relationship with the unknown, but also the way we approach life itself. Instead of living dominated by the fear of the inevitable, we make space for a fuller, more vibrant and connected existence, where every moment becomes an opportunity to grow, love, and truly be ourselves. There are more things that can make us worry than actually affect us, Lucilius, as Seneca so wisely said. This phrase is especially true these days, where we live in a world full of uncertainty. To understand this important lesson, we need to understand that fear and anxiety are often linked to our thoughts and not necessarily to what is happening now. When we worry, we are usually thinking about what might happen in the future or regretting things we did in the past, even though we can't change any of that now. Reflecting too much on the past or future can make us anxious and fearful, as Seneca reminds us. He teaches us to differentiate between what we can control and what we cannot, which is an important part of Stoic philosophy. When we realize that many things that worry us are out of our control, like most future events, we can begin to let go of our anxiety and focus our energy on things we can influence. Imagine your mind as a garden. If you spend all your time worrying about plants that haven't grown yet, or those that have already wilted, you'll miss the chance to take care of the ones that are blooming now. Likewise, if you spend all your time worrying about what might happen in the future, you will fail to appreciate and care for the present. Imagine yourself walking along a trail, carrying a heavy backpack on your back. Each stone within it represents a concern for the future, the work that needs to be done, the relationships that need tending, the uncertainties that lurk on the horizon. Some of these stones can be removed from the backpack and resolved at the moment, easing the weight of the burden. However, other stones seem to be there to stay with no immediate solution in sight. This is where Stoic philosophy comes into play, teaching us to discern between the stones we can remove and those we must learn to carry lightly, accepting that they are an inherent part of the path we travel. Rather than spending our precious energy anticipating problems that may never materialize, Seneca invites us to direct our attention to the present moment and the actions within our reach. We can take tangible steps to improve our lives right now by taking care of our physical and mental health, strengthening the bonds we have with those around us, and seeking opportunities for personal and professional growth. As we focus on the here and now, we find a sense of empowerment and calm, recognizing that we are doing the best we can with the resources available to us in this moment. Imagine your mind as a lens that focuses only on the present, as if it is capturing a vivid, clear photograph of the current moment. When we are fully immersed in the here and now, our attention becomes an anchor, keeping us firmly connected to reality. We are no longer victims of the chains of the uncertain future or the regrets of the past. We are masters of the present moment, confidently navigating the waters of life. The practice of mindfulness invites us to observe the world around us with fresh eyes, seeing it not through the cloudy lenses of worry or fantasy, but with the crystal clarity of truth. We notice the vibrant colors of existence, the soft sounds dancing in the air, and the subtle details that often go unnoticed. By surrendering to the present, we discover an ocean of inner peace that resides in the here and now. Furthermore, the power of logical thinking is like a flashlight that dispels the shadows of fear and anxiety. Inspired by the wisdom of the Stoics, we learn to challenge our fears with insightful questions. Are they really justified, or are they mere illusions created by the restless mind? As we investigate our concerns more deeply, we often discover that they are rooted in unlikely scenarios or distorted projections of reality. By questioning our fears, we uncover their grip and free ourselves from the shackles of anxiety. We are able to face life's challenges with courage and resilience, knowing that we are the architects of our own destiny. With the mind anchored in the present and reason as our compass, we navigate the seas of uncertainty with confidence, ready to face any storm that may appear on the horizon. The journey of acceptance, as outlined by Seneca, is like an inner journey in which we face our fears and anxieties in a fearless way. He invites us to not just tolerate, but to deeply understand these emotions that often haunt us. Acceptance is not about surrendering to adversity, but rather about embracing the fullness of the human experience, including its deepest shadows. It's like opening your arms to receive all facets of our being, without allowing them to define us or stop us from moving forward. Following the beacon of Stoic wisdom, we come across Seneca's logical approach to dealing with our worries and fears. He teaches us to navigate the turbulent waters of life with a firm rudder of rationality, anchored in the present. Just like a river that follows its natural course, we learn that resisting the current only leads to exhaustion. Instead, we can become masters of navigation, adjusting our route to the curves of our destination, finding a balance between determination and flexibility. Imagine yourself in a vessel, gently flowing with the waters of the river of life. Sometimes the course can be turbulent, with currents that challenge our resistance. But by accepting the fluid nature of the present, we do not become hostage to the tides of the past or the concerns of the future. Instead, we become skilled navigators, seizing each wave as an opportunity to grow and evolve. When we integrate these teachings into our journey, we discover that acceptance is not a white flag of surrender, but rather a flashlight that lights our way through the shadows of fear and anxiety. We become more resilient, more connected to our inner being, and more capable of facing life's challenges with courage and clarity of purpose. Thus, by embracing acceptance as an ally in our search for inner peace, we find the power to live authentically and fully, regardless of the tides that may come our way. Just as a skilled navigator adjusts his sails to turn the wind in his favor, we can adjust our perspectives to navigate life's tumultuous waters with the guidance of Seneca. By internalizing its wisdom and living in the present moment, we cultivate an inner compass that guides us calmly and confidently, no matter how rough the seas. Seneca's famous quote rings out as a call to adventure and self-discovery. We should explore nature to strengthen the mind and invigorate the soul under an open sky and fresh air. While it may sound like modern wellness advice, his words have deep roots in Stoic philosophy. It invites us not just to leave home, but to leave our comfort zone, to leave behind the familiar and the routine in search of new landscapes, new experiences, and, above all, new insights into ourselves and the world around us. Traveling, for Seneca, was not just about the destinations we reach, but about the inner journey we undertake along the way. It is a journey of self-discovery, where each step takes us closer not only to new lands, but also to a deeper understanding of who we are and our place in the world. This exploration is not limited to external geographies. It is a journey inward, where we discover new facets of ourselves and gain renewed clarity about our aspirations, desires, and values. So following Seneca's advice doesn't necessarily mean buying a plane ticket or packing your bags. It means embarking on a journey of self-knowledge and growth, where each experience, whether grand or modest, takes us closer to the true essence of life. It's about getting out of the routine, opening up to the new, and allowing the world to teach us its valuable lessons. A journey that renews us, strengthens us, and enriches us in ways we never imagined possible. There are more things that can make us worry than actually affect us, Lucilius. As Seneca so wisely said, this phrase is especially true these days, where we live in a world full of uncertainty. To understand this important lesson, we need to understand that fear and anxiety are often linked to our thoughts, and not necessarily to what is happening now. When we worry, we are usually thinking about what might happen in the future, or regretting things we did in the past, even though we can't change any of that now. Reflecting too much on the past or future can make us anxious and fearful, as Seneca reminds us. He teaches us to differentiate between what we can control and what we cannot, which is an important part of Stoic philosophy. When we realize that many things that worry us are out of our control, like most future events, we can begin to let go of our anxiety and focus our energy on things we can influence. Imagine your mind as a garden. If you spend all your time worrying about plants that haven't grown yet, or those that have already wilted, you'll miss the chance to take care of the ones that are blooming now. Likewise, if you spend all your time worrying about what might happen in the future, you will fail to appreciate and care for the present. Thus, traveling is not only an opportunity to discover new places, but also a journey within ourselves. By being open to the unknown and enjoying every moment, we learn and grow as people. Traveling in an immersive way allows us to be who we really are, to know ourselves better, and to appreciate the wonders of both the world and our own being. Plus, with the hustle and bustle of the modern world, our minds can become confused and overwhelmed. Going to a different place can be a much-needed break, allowing us to think more clearly and creatively. Seneca's advice about travel reminds us of the importance of taking moments to pause in our busy lives. He highlights that these breaks, these trips, are beneficial for our soul and mind, something we should do. It is an invitation to explore not only the world around us, but also our own inner journey of self-discovery, growth, and clarity. So let's follow his advice, seek serenity, and breathe fresh air. Let's travel not just to change places, but as a way to take care of our soul, learn more about ourselves, and keep our minds strong and attentive. When we delve into the pages of Seneca's Letters of a Stoic, we dive into a sea of wisdom, where every word resonates with depth and meaning. In these timeless letters, we find not just advice but treasures of knowledge, meticulously prepared by one of the most important philosophers in history. Throughout Seneca's letters, we are presented with 11 precious lessons, each one like a shining pearl, radiating insights into life, relationships, virtue, and above all, our own mind. These lessons invite us to delve into our inner world, to contemplate our choices, and to carve our lives with a wisdom that spans the ages. Each letter feels like an intimate conversation with a wise friend, offering advice that comforts and challenges us at the same time. Seneca urges us to embrace adversity, to nurture inner calm, and to seek true happiness not in material riches, but in virtue and peace of mind. As we delve deeper into these lessons, we uncover a guide to a more complete and meaningful life, where every obstacle turns into an opportunity for growth and every moment reveals itself as a precious gift to be cherished. Our journey begins by facing life's challenges, understanding that difficult moments are not just obstacles, but also doors to self-knowledge and personal growth. The lessons we explore are not just distant theories, but practical advice that applies to our everyday lives. We realize how time flies and absorb Seneca's urgent advice to value the present. This lesson reminds us of the importance of living in the present moment, the one over which we have complete control. Next, we delve into the complexities of friendships and relationships, understanding that the essence of true bonds lies in mutual understanding and acceptance. We reflect on Seneca's advice for achieving inner peace and his lessons on controlling anger, understanding how lack of emotional control can make us vulnerable and highlighting the importance of keeping our emotions in balance. This idea permeates the Stoic ethics of Seneca and his contemporaries, recognizing adversity as an essential part of our journey of personal growth. We talked about Seneca's ideas about finding joy in simple things and avoiding always wanting more. We also talked about living in peace with nature and understanding how life follows its natural course. Additionally, we discussed the importance of controlling our desires and being disciplined, realizing that always seeking more can leave us with nothing. We also talk about how Seneca sees death, not as something scary, but as a moment of calm and acceptance. To deal with fear and anxiety, we learn to think logically and focus on the present to better face them. And finally, we let Seneca's ideas about travel influence us, understanding that traveling is a way to renew our mind and gain new ways of seeing things. When we come across the precious lessons of Stoic philosophy, we are not just gaining knowledge, we are discovering a reliable compass that will guide us through the choppy waters of life. However, just like a compass that remains motionless until we hold it in our hands, we realize that the true usefulness of these teachings only manifests itself when we apply them in our daily routine. Just as a navigator relies on a compass to find his way across the vastness of the sea, we rely on Stoic principles to help us navigate the challenges and uncertainties we encounter along our journey. These teachings are not mere abstract theories, but practical tools that we can use to shape our responses to the situations we face. As we integrate Stoic principles into our everyday lives, we begin to notice subtle but significant changes in the way we think and act. We become more resilient in the face of adversity, more patient in the face of frustrations, and more compassionate towards ourselves and others. Gradually, like a sailor who learns to read the stars to chart his course, we learn to find calm and clarity even in the most challenging circumstances. However, just like any skill we want to master, practice is essential. It is not enough to just read about Stoic teachings. We must internalize them and experience them in our daily lives. As we strive to apply these principles to every decision we make and every interaction we have, we find that our journey becomes more meaningful and our internal compass becomes increasingly reliable. In this way, we take the first step on a journey that transforms us, where abstract ideas become real actions, shaping not only our choices and actions, but also the way we see the world around us. Each Stoic teaching becomes a guide for us through life's difficulties, a whispering voice in our ears in uncertain times, reminding us to stand firm in our values and face challenges with courage and strength. As we absorb these lessons, we understand that Stoic philosophy is not just a set of abstract ideas, but rather a practical guide for living a life full of meaning and purpose. It's as if we are learning the art of navigation in a choppy ocean, where every decision, no matter how small, can bring us closer to our goals or divert us from the path. Thus, we begin to follow an enriching path, where each challenge turns into an opportunity for growth and self-knowledge.